Did I say you could save him? Yishuan's ghostly voice resounded in an instant, and several saber-chees instantly chopped out, cutting through the vast sky, and hundreds of feet-long saber shadows directly chopped down. Although Yishuan didn't use his full strength, his current strength was enough to kill a peak Transcendence Realm expert. How could that expert block a slash with such strength? They wouldn't even have time to react. At this moment, the Grand Elder of the poisonous Flaming Dragon clan instantly acted and blocked the saber shadow. The complexion of the poisonous Flaming Dragon clan's patriarch alternated between green and white. It was exceptionally unsightly. Yishuan had dared to kill his people in front of him. This was simply not putting him in his eyes. Boom! All of Yishuan's attacks had been blocked by him, but Yishuan wasn't the slightest bit discouraged. His figure turned into a ball of golden light and flashed in an instant, directly attacking the poisonous Flaming Dragon clan expert. Kill him! Don't let him get close! At this time, the poisonous Flaming Dragon clan patriarch roared, and all the experts of the poisonous Flaming Dragon clan rushed towards Yishuan. At this time, the experts of the poisonous Flaming Dragon clan were all enraged. It was fine that Yishuan didn't run when he saw them, but he actually dared to charge at them instead. This was simply not putting them in his eyes. It was truly abominable. These poisonous Flaming Dragon clan experts also used saber techniques. This was the weapon that could best display their physical strength. They had the bloodline of the Dragon clan, so their physical bodies were far superior to ordinary clans. Saber users were also the overlords of the army, so it was suitable for them to display the advantages of their physical bodies. Whoosh! 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 Countless saber lights tore through the vast sky like a rain of sabers, chopping down horizontally and completely enveloping Yishuan. In almost an instant, Yishuan was about to be chopped into minced meat. Bursts of golden light suddenly appeared on Yishuan's body. The saber lights fell like raindrops, but not a single one of them could cut his body. All that could be heard was the sound of metal clanging against metal. And Yishuan had actually rushed in. In an instant, he had already appeared in front of the expert who had just attacked. You really have a death wish. It would have been fine if you had escaped, but not only did you not escape, you even dared to charge in. The heavens really want you dead! The poisonous Flaming Dragon clan expert sneered, and thick spiritual essence instantly condensed around his body. Although he had been at a disadvantage in the previous exchange with Yishuan, he was still a Transcendence Realm expert after all. His all-out attack was equally terrifying. The saber light cut through the vast sky and directly slashed at Yishuan. Fool! Yishuan sneered, and endless golden light suddenly tore through his hands. Waves of divinity also boiled in his body, and his chi and blood surged. In an instant, the saber light was torn apart on the spot. His earth-level long saber was actually grabbed by Yishuan's big hand and shattered inch by inch. However, Yishuan was an exception. He was a monster. His tyrant body was too tyrannical. These people's attacks couldn't even hurt him. Perhaps only the patriarchs of the two clans and the supreme elders could pose any threat to him. Yishuan was a monster. His tyrant body was too tyrannical. But his speed was also fast enough. Although he was besieged, it was nothing to him at all. He slapped out with his palm, and those broken blades instantly cut through the vast sky, flinging out dazzling fragments of light. Puff! 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 The sound of blades piercing into bodies rang out. Several poisonous Flaming Dragon clan experts didn't have time to react at all, and the fragments of the long saber pierced through them. Whatever inner armor or protective spiritual essence these poisonous Flaming Dragon clan experts wore, they were instantly pierced through like paper. There was no way to defend against these fragments at all. They died on the spot, falling from the sky like dumplings into a pot. No way, he's so strong! He rushed into the poisonous Flaming Dragon clan and actually went on a killing spree. How can he be so strong? The scouts of the major forces were dumbfounded at this time, as if they had seen the most impossible thing in the world. They never thought that someone could be so strong. No wonder. It is said that he also went on a killing spree in the blood world. Many people almost fainted. They couldn't imagine how Yishiwen had become so much stronger in just over a year. In their opinion, no matter how good the blood world trial was, it was impossible for it to be this good. In the past, there were experts from the flourished Cloud Sea region who participated in the trial of blood and fire. However, it was already very good if they could advance 1 or 2 levels within 3 years. After all, they were just small sea regions. They couldn't occupy too many resources in the blood world, so it was impossible for them to obtain too many benefits. This time, young Master Hai Long and the others had already obtained a lot of benefits. They could actually enter the law manifestation realm in one fell swoop and become the big shots of the flourished Cloud Sea region. This was something that they had never expected. But now, it seemed that compared with the benefits Yishiwen obtained, it was nothing. Compared to them, Yishiwen was the one who truly obtained countless benefits. It was precisely because they saw that young Master Hai Long and the others who entered the blood world had obtained huge gains. Almost everyone had been reborn. The 2 clans hated Yishiwen even more. If it weren't for Yishiwen, there should be Crocodile Shadow, Poisonous Young Master, Flaming Young Master, and the others among them. There wouldn't be like a gap in the younger generation. Although they had begun to cultivate the younger generation experts now, there was undoubtedly a huge gap compared to young Master Hai Long who returned from the blood world victoriously. As time passed, this gap would only grow bigger. All of this was caused by Yishiwen. If they couldn't kill Yishiwen, how could they eliminate the hatred in their hearts? Before Yishiwen entered the blood world, he could only defeat a half-step law manifestation realm expert at most. Now, a law manifestation realm expert was like a toy in front of him. They couldn't withstand a single blow at all. Initially, everyone thought that sending so many law manifestation realm experts to besiege Yishiwen was a little overkill. But now, they didn't think so. It was not overkill. It was simply a matter of course. Go, kill him! The poisonous Flaming Dragon clan's clan leader's heart was trembling. In just one encounter, several experts had fallen. This was unimaginable before they came. These were not ordinary Transcendent Realm experts at all, but a group of Law Manifestation Realm experts. They were also the true pillars that supported the poisonous Flaming Dragon clan to become the flourished Cloud Sea region's 6 overlords. The death of one was enough to shake the entire flourished Cloud Sea region. Not to mention, so many of them had fallen in one go. This was something that the poisonous Flaming Dragon clan had not encountered for hundreds of years. Now, they had fallen in one go. At this time, the other poisonous Flaming Dragon clan's experts reacted one after another. The martial arts lost by dozens of poisonous Flaming Dragon clan's law manifestation realm experts could be described as earth-shattering. The sky and earth changed color, and it was dazzling. Looking from afar, it seemed as if stars of various colors were falling from the 9th heaven, and directly bombarding towards Yishiwen. Moreover, the attack of the poisonous Flaming Dragon clan's chief was mixed among them. He hadn't been able to kill Yishiwen as soon as possible. As a result, he had lost so many senior experts. He was the real deal. He had reached the 3rd level of the Law Manifestation Realm peak. Even compared to Jingbai and the others in the blood world, he was a bit stronger. Although his talent might not be as good as Jingbai and the others, he had cultivated for thousands of years more than Jingbai. His deep foundation and strength were far above Jingbai's. He just couldn't enter the 4th level of the Law Manifestation Realm. From the 3rd level of the Law Manifestation Realm to the 4th level of the Law Manifestation Realm was equivalent to entering the intermediate Law Manifestation Realm from the initial Law Manifestation Realm. Many people were trapped in this realm for their entire lives, unable to cross over. These were all the Law Manifestation Realm experts. The Law Manifestation Realm, as the name suggested, was the Law Manifestation Realm. They could already imitate part of the laws of heaven and earth, which meant that their understanding of the martial arts laws had reached an unimaginable level. They could be called great masters. When they fused these comprehensions into their attacks, it became exceptionally terrifying. Dozens of experts, dozens of terrifying killing gods. 3 swords in one! In the face of these whistling attacks, Yishiwen just calmly used 3 swords in one. Buried person's sword! Buried earth's sword! Buried heaven's sword! 3 sword lights instantly slashed out, condensing into a huge light sword in midair. The light sword screamed wildly in midair, and the sword god trembled violently. Clang! With a sad cry, the sword light instantly blasted out, facing the martial arts attacks of those people who were attacking. At that moment, the whole world seemed to be quiet, and time seemed to stand still at that moment. Boom! After a moment of silence, a huge explosion swept out in midair, creating a terrifying astral wind. The pressure caused the space to begin to become unstable, and began to distort. It was forcefully twisted. Puff! 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 A terrifying collision. The experts of the poisonous flaming dragon clan vomited blood one after another. Those who were only at the first level of the transcendence realm were the weakest among them. Finally, they could not withstand the attack and were directly sent flying. Some directly crashed into the sea, instantly creating a huge whirlpool in the sea. Countless splashes of water splashed, setting off shocking waves that swept out. Even the patriarch of the poisonous flaming dragon clan and the supreme elder of the poisonous flaming dragon clan took a few steps back, almost collapsing the air under their feet. Only then did they manage to offset the impact of Yishiwen's sword. This is impossible! The patriarch of the poisonous flaming dragon clan looked at Yishiwen in disbelief. He could not believe that Yishiwen could be so powerful that he could withstand the attacks of dozens of Transcendence Realm experts alone. This was simply impossible. Even a master at the 4th level of the Transcendence Realm would be seriously injured. Yishiwen's figure only swayed slightly, and there was a surge of blood in his body. The attack just now had indeed posed a huge threat to him, but after running the Phoenix regeneration technique, the surging blood in his body instantly calmed down. That's impossible. Are our eyes playing tricks on us? Are we seeing things? Is he a monster? Monster, is he really a human? Chapter 1142. Yi Lianheng's eyes stared at Yishiwen as if he was staring at an adult tiger. Before entering the blood world, Yishiwen was just a tiger cub with some threat, but they did not put him in their eyes. Now Yishiwen was a fully grown tiger that was ready to devour its prey. In just over a year, Yishiwen had made such a breakthrough in just over a year. Yishiwen's progress since he appeared in the flourished Cloud Sea region. Thinking about it carefully, Yishiwen's progress was so fast that it was terrifying. It was as if a person had grown from a baby to a powerful adult overnight, and all of this had happened while you were sleeping. This kind of feeling was really very frightening. Moreover, Yishiwen was not a weak mortal, but a master who could inflict serious damage to them. This kind of growth speed was too shocking. It shocked them so much that they brought out most of the Transcendence Realm experts in their clan. They wanted to get rid of this threat, while it was still within their power to deal with him. Kill him! If this person doesn't die, it will be a great shock to our 2 clans. This person is cruel and bloodthirsty. For the sake of the flourished Cloud Sea region's peace, we must not let him wreak havoc in the world. At this time, Iwufa, the vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan's supreme elder, sneered and shouted. If it was in the past, with the pride and self-esteem of these law phase realm experts, it would be very difficult for so many people to surround and kill one person. They would not even have the interest to do it. However, they naturally saw Yishiwen's strength just now. It was not something an ordinary person could deal with. At this time, if they still could not join forces, the final result would be that they would be defeated by Yishiwen one by one. Exactly. We should join forces to eliminate this scourge for the flourished Cloud Sea region. Kill! We must not let him go. If you want to attack together, let's do it together. Why do you have to find these high-sounding reasons? Aren't you ashamed? When it comes to being cruel and bloodthirsty, how can we compare to UC clans? Yishiwen sneered disdainfully. Little bastard, don't even think about being arrogant. Today, you won't be able to escape even if you have wings. At this time, Yi Lianheng roared. At this time, these vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan experts also attacked one after another. They used various means to smash at Yishiwen, buying time for the poisonous flaming dragon clan experts injured by Yishiwen just now. A burst of golden waves appeared on Yishiwen's body, and in his hand, a blazing bladiki was burning. Today, the vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan and poisonous flaming dragon clan will be eliminated, Yishiwen yelled. He instantly charged at these vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan experts. Boom! 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 Countless terrifying attacks instantly bombarded Yishiwen's body. The golden divinities on his body fluctuated wildly. Those attacks bombarded Yishiwen's golden divinities, just like a huge stone thrown into the water, setting off stormy waves. However, these attacks were ultimately absorbed by the golden divinity. There was no way to cause any fundamental threat to Yishiwen. For him, there was no difference between a group battle and a one-on-one battle. He stomped his feet suddenly, and his figure rushed into the vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan experts formation. As soon as he rushed in, all kinds of terrifying attacks were launched at Yishiwen. Countless attacks cut through the vast sky like a meteor in the sky. On the other hand, Yishiwen was not in a hurry. He brandished the fiery long saber and protected himself in it. All the attacks were instantly cut in half under his fiery saber aura. They could not pose much threat to Yishiwen at all. Looking from afar, Yishiwen seemed to be surrounded by flames. His fine black hair was fluttering in the wind, and his expression was exceptionally grave and stern. The golden divinities on his body were surging, and he looked like a golden god. He was extremely terrifying. The vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan's experts had just finished their attacks. They were exhausted and had yet to recover. At this juncture, Yishiwen made his move. The blazing bladiki instantly slashed out from the flames. Those vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan experts saw that Yishiwen had been holding back. They seemed to be completely suppressed by them. They did not expect him to make a move at this time. The blazing bladiki traversed the vast sky and instantly slashed into the body of a vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan's law manifestation realm first-level expert. His internal armor, chi protection, and physical cultivation seemed so weak and ridiculous in the face of this saber. Once upon a time, the defense he relied on was so vulnerable. He could not even withstand Yishiwen's saber. The vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan's law manifestation realm first-level expert was still in disbelief. He had dominated the flourished Cloud Sea region for thousands of years. If there were no accidents, he would continue to be awe-inspiring for thousands of years until he died of old age one day. However, he never expected to die here in such a way. He would die in the hands of a half-step law manifestation realm late kid. He was only half a step away from his realm. Normally, he wouldn't care about that half a step. But now, it had become a fatal hurdle to his life. Some people were born extraordinary. For example, Yishiwen. Although Yishiwen had killed a law manifestation realm expert just now, it was more or less a sneak attack. It was far less shocking than what it looked like now. These high and mighty big shots in the flourished Cloud Sea region realized for the first time that perhaps they would also die. Moreover, they would be killed senselessly. It would not shock the four cities, and no one would be too surprised because the person in front of them was too powerful. However, Yishiwen didn't give them any chance to react. He immediately rushed into the crowd and started fighting. The experts of the poisonous flaming dragon clan also quickly joined in the encirclement of Yishiwen. Both sides started to fight unscrupulously. None of those who besieged Yishiwen here were mediocre. The weakest among them was also a big shot at the law manifestation realm. Among them were Lianheng and the poisonous flaming dragon clan patriarch, who truly ruled the entire flourished Cloud Sea region. Although there were many of them, but because Yishiwen always broke into their midst to kill, their advantage in numbers couldn't be displayed, because they were afraid of hurting their own people. However, Yishiwen wasn't afraid of hurting his own people, because there was no one else on his side besides him. At this time, only he was on his side. At this time, the tyrannical tyrant body was fully revealed. It was enough to compete with purebred dragons of the same rank, let alone the poisonous flaming dragon clan with some dragon bloodline. Ah! With a scream, a poisonous flaming dragon clan expert at the second level of the law manifestation realm was slashed in half by Yishiwen on the spot. Blood splattered in the sky. Yishiwen was like a tiger descending the mountain. He had no scruples at all and attacked wantonly. These people's attacks could not even break the divinity defense on Yishiwen's body. Even if it broke, it was difficult to hurt Yishiwen, who had the tyrant body. Not to mention that he had the phoenix regeneration technique. Even if he was injured, he would recover within a few breaths. Courting death! Lianheng growled in a low voice, like an angry crocodile. His cultivation of the peak of the third level of the law manifestation realm was instantly revealed. A long saber appeared in his hand, and he slashed down violently. A huge ancient desolate crocodile was drawn in the air, swallowing Yishiwen in one bite. In the body of this ancient desolate giant crocodile, countless saber lights were transformed, and they directly strangled Yishiwen. They wanted to kill Yishiwen directly. However, how could Yishiwen have the character of being captured without putting up a fight? He immediately slashed out with his saber, which turned into flames all over the sky, directly burning the saber lights that came over. Immediately afterward, the entire body of the ancient desolate giant crocodile was directly cut from its stomach by Yishiwen. In just a breath, Yishiwen had destroyed Yi Lianheng's offensive completely. Yi Lianheng was stronger than Xingbai and the others. If Xingbai and the others were besieged here, they would be dead. Unfortunately, they encountered Yishiwen. At the moment when the huge ancient desolate giant crocodile was broken, Yishiwen's divinity had already flown in front of Yi Lianheng. Yi Lianheng was shocked and angry. Yishiwen actually dared to kill in front of him. Who is he? How long has it been since someone dared to be so presumptuous in front of me? However, Yishiwen's speed advantage was extremely fast. An endless flame slashed on Yi Lianheng's body. Yi Lianheng's figure suddenly retreated. In an instant, he retreated hundreds of meters away, but it was still a little late. Yishiwen's saber swept past him. A huge wound appeared on his lower abdomen. It was a terrifying wound that almost cut him in half. This also reflected Yi Lianheng's tyrannical strength. If it were an ordinary law manifestation realm expert, he would not be Yishiwen's opponent at all. At this time, other vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan experts rushed over to protect Yi Lianheng. Yi Hong, Crown Prince Crocodile, Ying, and others died previously. In essence, it was nothing because they could only be regarded as the candidate for the clan leader. There were many such people in hundreds of years. It was nothing. However, the significance of the clan leader was different. It was the symbol of the entire vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan. Once the clan leader fell, their entire rule in the flourished Cloud Sea region would be shaken. But they still didn't know what kind of opponent they were facing. Clang! Yishiwen's long saber was unleashed. Many people could only see the afterimage. A fiery saber aura directly slashed a vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan expert who rushed over to save Yi Lianheng into half in the air. Another one! The scouts of other major forces in the flourished Cloud Sea region saw another law manifestation realm expert fall in Yishiwen's hands, and they all felt a chill all over. Chapter 1143. Everyone was a little frightened. Those were not cabbages on the roadside that could be easily cut. Those were law manifestation experts. They were powerful enough to turn the flourished Cloud Sea region upside down. They were existences that held authority. Yet, they died in Yishiwen's hands. They could even easily call out those people's names and recite their glorious battle records. They were young experts who dominated for a time and later became the rulers of the flourished Cloud Sea region. But now, they died in Yishiwen's hands. Perhaps he didn't even know their names, nor did he ever want to know them. Yishiwen's every blade strike was capable of causing huge damage. Almost all of his blade strikes didn't miss its target. It was exceptionally terrifying. His blade intention swept out in an incomparably overbearing manner. It was as if an ancient overlord was going on an expedition, sweeping away everything in its path. At this point, the battle had begun to be described as tragic, but both sides refused to retreat. For the Vanishing Shadow Poisonous Crocodile Clan and Poisonous Flaming Dragon Clan experts, Yishiwen must be killed. If Yishiwen could not be killed, he would become a behemoth that they could not deal with in a short time with his terrifying growth speed. At that time, it would be their doomsday. The current Yishiwen was already so terrifying. If he was given another 10 years, or even 100 years, to what extent would he grow to? They could still fight a bloody battle now and kill him. However, after a few years, they wouldn't even have the qualifications to appear in front of him. Perhaps at that time, it would be easier for Yishiwen to pinch them to death than pinching an ant. Thinking of this, they could not help but feel unusually sad. As the overlord of the Flourished Cloud Sea region, they had ruled the entire Flourished Cloud Sea region for many years. When did they ever experience such a tragic moment? It was always them who crushed others and drove them away like stray dogs. Now, in front of Yishiwen, it was easy to attack and defend. Little bastard, die! Yishiwen killed a Poisonous Flaming Dragon Clan's Law Manifestation Realm first-level expert with one saber strike. At this time, a Vanishing Shadow Poisonous Crocodile Clan's Law Manifestation Realm elder roared and rushed over. He directly clawed at Yishiwen. The sharp claws tore through the vast sky as if to tear the sky. He immediately grabbed Yishiwen's skull. A smile appeared on his face, as if he could already see the scene of Yishiwen's head exploding on the spot. Yishiwen didn't even bother to look. Countless pores all over his body opened up, and countless sword ki gushed out, forming a sword above his body, and instantly chopped down. Boom! He let out a blood-curdling screech. The sword had directly chopped down his claw. Although he had already practiced his hands to a very high level, and could even be called reinforced iron claws, but in the face of Yishiwen's sharp sword chi, he was simply unable to withstand a single blow. His body hurriedly retreated, but there was a ray of light that was even faster than him, instantly drawing a dazzling ray of light. The Vanishing Shadow Poisonous Crocodile Clan expert's head slid down directly. He couldn't believe that he died in Yishiwen's hands just like that. Yishiwen! Yi Lianheng, Yi Wufa, Yi Changzai, and the Poisonous Flaming Dragon Clan's Patriarch and Supreme Elder. 5 experts at the peak of the 3rd level of the Law Manifestation Realm, plus more than a dozen experts at the 3rd level of the Law Manifestation Realm, surrounded Yishiwen. Especially Yi Lianheng and the Patriarch of the Poisonous Flaming Dragon Clan, their hearts were trembling with anger. It was not easy to cultivate a Law Manifestation Realm expert. Although a large number of geniuses emerged every few hundred years, only a few of them could reach the Law Manifestation Realm. If they were unlucky, none of them could reach the Law Manifestation Realm. It was not uncommon for them to be stuck at the peak of half-step Law Manifestation Realm for the rest of their lives. It was the same in other Overlord forces. There was no difference. The death of one expert meant that their efforts over the past hundreds of years were in vain. Not to mention that so many experts died in one go. Counting now, the number of experts who died in Yishiwen's hands had definitely exceeded a dozen. These experts usually lived like princes. If they didn't meet Yishiwen, they would probably die of old age. How could their hearts not tremble? Corpses of experts constantly fell from the sky. The battle turned the sky and earth upside down. Countless spiritual energy had long been scattered and abnormal. In the eyes of those major forces' spies, it was just a sigh. For them, it was dripping blood. At this time, how could they not understand that it was impossible for those ordinary Law Manifestation experts to pose a fatal threat to Yishiwen? Once they were entangled with Yishiwen, they would almost die. There was no exception. However, Yishiwen did not have it easy at this time. After all, there were dozens of Law Manifestation Realm experts. When dozens of domains shrouded Yishiwen, even with his speed, it would be reduced to a terrifying level. It was as if he had fallen into a quagmire. Although he was still as strong as a humanoid tank, after all, it could not be compared to the state when he was at his peak. After being attacked repeatedly, the golden divinity on his body had dimmed a lot and been destroyed. These golden divinity were not produced out of thin air. He was not a god. Only a god could possess and utilize these divinity. It exerted extraordinary power in his hands. But at the same time, the production and nourishment of each strand of divinity were very difficult. It was even more difficult than those mystical flames. Now, it was a lot dimmer. Even Yishuan's tyrant body had many scars. Although many of them were just minor injuries that could be completely healed in a moment by the Phoenix regeneration technique, it was enough to prove that these people's efforts were not in vain. At this moment, the auras of dozens of enormous and terrifying ferocious beasts swept out from the surface of the sea. Every single one of them was over 100 feet long, and some were even longer. They circled around the entire battlefield. Whenever a corpse fell into the sea, it would lead to a frenzied battle. In fact, these were not ordinary corpses. These were the corpses of law manifestation experts. Although they were vulnerable in Yishuan's hands, it was undeniable that they had absolute tyrannical strength. Their blood essence was like a treasure to ordinary warriors. Since the first corpse of a warrior from the two clans fell into the sea, these fierce sea beasts, who were sensitive to the smell of blood, rushed over from thousands of miles away. Looking at the entire sea, it was a black mass, forcing the spies of the major forces to retreat to the island and watch from afar. They didn't dare to approach at all, because the dozens of sea beasts in the sea were also extremely terrifying. These sea beasts had tyrannical bodies, and when they became ruthless, they were comparable to the experts of the law phase realm. It was not something that the spies could handle. There were even a few spies who were unwilling to leave, and they were swallowed by the beasts on the spot. When the fierce beast fell into the sea, it actually directly caused a huge pit in the water. Countless seawater formed layers of waves, and it almost formed a tsunami. One could imagine how terrifying it was. If it was in normal times, either side would allow these beasts to snatch their food. These were all very precious. But now, they could not care about it at all. They could only let these beasts in the sea devour the corpses of the two clans' experts. The masters of the two clans were extremely angry. After getting rid of this little beast, they would kill all the beasts in the sea. Those intelligent creatures and clans would not dare to act rashly because of the prestige of the two clans. However, these sea beasts were different. They were simply a group of beasts with only instincts. Yishuan constantly adjusted his breathing and constantly ran the Phoenix regeneration technique to recover from the injuries on his body. Yishuan, if you continue like this, even you will be injured. Yemo appeared and said, As long as I can kill all the masters of the two clans, it is worth paying some price. Yishuan did not care. The 5 masters circled around Yishuan and constantly bombarded him. Don't even think about going out today! At this time, Yi Changzai, who seemed to be the oldest, suddenly broke out. A long spear appeared in his hand. This spear's shadow was like a dragon. When Yishuan was busy dealing with the attacks of other masters, it appeared in front of Yishuan like a poisonous snake. It instantly pierced through the golden divinity on Yishuan's surface. Immediately afterward, the long spear instantly pierced into Yishuan's body. Puff! Although Yishuan reacted at the last moment, his dodging was still a step slower. His entire lower abdomen was pierced, and blood immediately splashed out. However, Yishuan's reaction was not slow either. He directly brandished his saber and swept it out. Yi Changzai almost couldn't react in time. His entire body was almost cut in half. Yishuan didn't know how many of his ribs were broken. He frantically retreated all the way until he was more than 1,000 feet away. Then he stopped. He looked like a candle in the wind. Now, he looked like he could die at any time. Yishuan's blade had cut off almost all of his vitality. In terms of vitality, Yishuan was much stronger than him. Yi Changzai just looked at Yishuan, spitting blood at the corner of his mouth. He grinned and said, The younger generation will surpass us in time. I didn't expect there to be a master like you in the human clan. It's a pity that the more talented you are, the greater the threat to my clan. In any case, you can't survive. What is your relationship with Ying? Yishuan sealed the bleeding wound on his body, avoided Yi Lianheng's attack, and asked. Chapter 1144. What is your relationship with Crocodile Shadow? Yi Shiwen sealed the bleeding wound on his body, avoided Yi Lianheng's attack, and asked. From the blow just now, he felt an aura very similar to Crocodile Shadow. If he wasn't sure that Crocodile Shadow had been killed by him, he would even think that Crocodile Shadow was resurrected. However, compared with Crocodile Shadow, Yi Changzai's assassination skills were more proficient. Almost in an instant, even Yi Shiwen couldn't react. Yi Changzai converged all the aura, not even the killing intent. Only when he attacked did the monstrous killing intent burst out. At that time, ordinary people couldn't react at all. They would only be stabbed to death. Even with Yi Shiwen's reaction speed, Yi Changzai's lower abdomen was pierced. This old guy gave Yi Shiwen an extremely dangerous feeling. But fortunately, Yi Changzai had been severely injured by Yi Shiwen. That saber had definitely cut off his little vitality. Ahem, that is my good-for-nothing disciple. Yi Changzai's eyes were like a pair of crocodile-like eyes. His pupils suddenly shrank. He died in your hands. As his master, I can't pretend to be deaf and mute in any case. With this crippled body, I can only do one last thing for the clan, which is to get rid of you and completely eradicate the future trouble of my clan. Get rid of me? I don't think you can do it. Yi Shiwen just sneered and dodged Yi Lianheng's attack again. The long saber in his hand instantly released a dazzling light. A poisonous flaming dragon clan expert who couldn't dodge in time was slashed in half on the spot. Yi Shiwen's physical body was unparalleled, and he had infinite strength. He could split the sea and mountains with one slash. Unless one had reached the third level of the law phase realm and could exchange a few moves with Yi Shiwen, they would just be sending themselves to Yi Shiwen. Ahem, you are strong. I also admit that you are the most talented genius I have seen in thousands of years. In front of you, whether it is my clan's crown prince Crocodile or my useless disciple, they are nothing. Unfortunately, you came to the wrong place. This is not your stage. Yi Changzai still looked like he might die at any time. You have killed enough. Even if you fall today, you can be famous in the flourished Cloud Sea region. Everyone will always remember the existence of such a person. So, you should have no regrets. Ha ha ha, you should feel honored to have so many corpses buried with you. Crazy, crazy, crazy. After today, I am afraid that this Yi Shiwen will really become famous in the entire flourished Cloud Sea region. I am afraid that if there is no hidden master, he will become the #1 master in the flourished Cloud Sea region. Oh my god, what's wrong with this world? Among the younger generation, someone can actually become the top expert in the flourished Cloud Sea region. It's said that Yi Shiwen's background is unknown. Could he really be a legacy disciple of some colossus in the ancient Barrens continent? Many people remembered the rumors that spread throughout the flourished Cloud Sea region when Yi Shiwen had just risen. No, I think he is simply the reincarnation of an ancient big shot. Otherwise, how can he be so terrifying? Among the same rank, he is already invincible if he can suppress dozens of experts. What's more, he is completely leapfrogging the realm. Monster, he is really a monster. I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing for our flourished Cloud Sea region. It is said that this person has offended many people in the Blood Realm trial. I wonder if he will vent his anger on our flourished Cloud Sea region. This dragon is too big. Our flourished Cloud Sea region is too small to raise a real dragon. Yi Changzai bit the blood stain at the corner of his mouth coldly. The teeth that could only be regarded as a little sharp suddenly turned into fangs. The skin on his body became abnormally tight again. The originally stooped figure suddenly became tall as if he had returned to his peak. Uncle. Yi Lianheng was shocked when he saw Yi Changzai's change. Could it be that secret technique? Not only Yi Lianheng, but Yi Wufa, the patriarch of Poisonous Flaming Dragon Clan, and the Grand Elder were also shocked. Yes, it is this secret technique. This is the last fight and our last chance. This person will seek revenge for the smallest grievance. If we can't take him down this time, I am afraid that our clan will never have peace in the future, Yi Changzai said faintly. Immediately afterward, he looked at Yi Shiwen and said, For my clan, you are a great disaster. For the entire flourished Cloud Sea region, you are also the source of instability. Today, let me wipe you out with my own hands. It sounds nice. If it weren't for you, things wouldn't have become like this. Yi Shiwen said in a cold voice. You have long been accustomed to being the overlords. Everyone should listen to your commands. You tremble in fear under your majesty. You have long forgotten what awe is. You do things unscrupulously. If you really had luck, then it would have been ruined long ago. You have only yourselves to blame for ending up like this. Yi Changzai's face was abnormally ugly. Perhaps, as Yi Shiwen said, they had only themselves to blame, but how could he watch all this happen? Stop talking nonsense. This time, either you die or I die. There is nothing to say. Yi Changzai put his palms together. In an instant, endless energy waves seeped out of his body. His aura actually crossed the barrier of the 3rd level peak and entered the 4th level transcendence realm in an instant. Moreover, his aura was stable. There was no trace of instability. In other words, Yi Changzai was actually a 4th level transcendence realm expert. Later, he fell to the 3rd level transcendence realm for some unknown reason. Now, he used a secret technique to stimulate all his potential and restored to the peak state in a short time. 4th level peak of the law manifestation realm, Yi Shiwen frowned slightly. He finally knew where his sense of danger came from. No wonder Yi Changzai could hurt Yi Shiwen even though he was also hurt by Yi Shiwen. However, this was not something an ordinary expert at the peak of the Transcendence realm could do. Even top experts like Qin Chushan and Zhuang Hongyuan couldn't hurt him when they teamed up, but he was injured by this old man. At this time, Yi Shiwen's injuries were almost healed, and he could go all out to deal with the situation. Yi Changzai yelled with a long spear in his hand. His aura soared to the sky as if he had really returned to the peak era. In the era where he was unrivaled, the spear tip pointed in the sky as if it could collapse the sky. At this time, the Vanishing Shadow Poisonous Crocodile Clan and Poisonous Flaming Dragon Clan experts were just watching by the side. They did not participate, even Yi Lianheng and others. Everyone knew that the real winner of this battle would be Yi Changzai and Yi Shiwen. If they failed, only death awaited them. On the other hand, if Yi Changzai could not kill Yi Shiwen, then they would not be able to escape. Thinking of this, many experts were extremely depressed. They usually commanded the wind and rain in the flourished Cloud Sea region, dominating the life and death of hundreds of millions of people. But now, their life and death were not in their hands, but in the hands of Yi Shiwen and Yi Changzai. They knew very well that whoever won could decide the outcome. Yi Changzai did not let Yi Shiwen wait for a long time because he knew very well that he could not stay in this state for long. If it continued to drag on, his body would collapse on the spot without Yi Shiwen making a move. Suddenly, there was a fierce fluctuation in the sky, followed by a long spear drilling out of it. The long spear arrived first, then Yi Changzai appeared in front of everyone. The long spear was strange like a poisonous tongue in the shadow. At the critical moment, it gave Yi Shiwen a fatal surprise attack. The spear was the general of the army. It should be majestic, but Yi Changzai could use a completely different power, which was enough to prove Yi Changzai's extraordinary ability. Clang! Yi Shiwen did not use a saber this time, but a sword. The long sword swept out countless sword auras, then it went toward the long spear. Although the movement of the long spear was extremely strange, but it couldn't escape from Yi Shiwen's control. Yi Shiwen had long been on guard against it, and he was also fully focused. So, how could he not have even a little bit of defense? Even so, the long spear still arrived in front of him, and he could feel the strong astral wind coming from the tip of the spear. Boom! The collision between the long sword and the spear tip swept out a terrible cyclone, sweeping out in all directions. Yi Shiwen's body directly flew out upside down. That earth-level long sword, at this time, was actually somewhat unable to hold it. This was very rare for Yi Shiwen to encounter such a situation since his debut. After practicing tyrant body technique, he was always unable to hold other people's weapons, and the web between his thumb and forefinger would crack, but he did not expect that now it would be his turn. After Ichan on the opposite side entered the fourth level of law manifestation realm, there was a huge gap between his strength and his previous strength. This was from the initial stage of law manifestation realm to the intermediate stage of law manifestation realm. The gap was even greater than the second level of law manifestation realm to the third level. What's more, Ichangzai was even more generous with his blood and qi because he knew that he did not have much time left. The surging blood and qi almost pushed the functions in his body to the peak in a short time, or even higher than the peak. Therefore, he was able to compete with Yishiwen in terms of strength. In fact, he was even able to suppress Yishiwen in terms of strength, which made him very depressed. Although he knew very well that the other party was just the last radiance of the setting sun. Under normal circumstances, it was impossible to have such combat power, but even so, he was still very depressed. But at this time, there was no time for him to be depressed. Ichangzai had already rushed over again. The long spear came and went like a ghost, like a poisonous snake, making it impossible to guard against. Chapter 1145. Facing Ichangzai, who was already in the best state, Yishiwen could only be in a defensive posture, which made him feel unusually depressed. Whether it was speed or strength, Yishiwen had always been in an overwhelming position. But now, Ichangzai had completely suppressed him. Ichangzai's long spear was strange like a poisonous snake. When it appeared, there was no sign at all. At his level, the martial Dao cultivation had already reached the peak. Any move was not limited to the moves. It could even be said that Ichangzai had entered the state where no move was better than any move. Hence, Ichangzai's moves had no predictable trajectory at all. It could change almost at any time. Each move contained traces of his Dao. Initially, these were nothing. Yishiwen himself had entered such a realm. He was not helpless against it. The real problem was that Ichangzai's speed was faster than Yishiwen. Yishiwen could only react at the last moment. For the first time, he was suppressed in speed, making him very passive. Most of the time, there was no way for him to dodge directly. He could only choose to take it head-on. And when he took it head-on, he would be at a disadvantage in terms of strength. This kind of sullen feeling made him realize for the first time how his opponents felt. They were completely helpless. Boom! 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 Terrifying collisions continued to take place. Yishiwen's palm, which was holding the long sword, had already been completely mutilated. His arm was also trembling slightly. This was the after-effect of the terrifying power instilled into his arm during the collision. There were also a few more wounds on his body. One even directly pierced through his arm. Blood kept dripping. That injury was caused after he could not avoid the spear. However, Ichangzai was not any better. Yishiwen's backhand sword directly pierced through him. Ichangzai's injury was even worse than Yishiwen's. But it was useless. Ichangzai's combat effectiveness did not decrease because he was not stingy at all. He was already on the verge of death, and he knew that he did not have much time left. In this regard, he would not have any scruples and hold back. Ichangzai wanted to drag Yishiwen down with his death. On the contrary, Yishiwen's scruples were much greater because he was not only fighting with Ichangzai. Yi Lianheng and others were eyeing him covetously. Once he was injured, he might be besieged to death. So, what he could do was to delay, and use the powerful quality of the tyrant body and the magical recovery ability of Phoenix regeneration technique to delay until Ichangzai died. This was also the best way. Yi Lianheng and others on the other side were also anxious. Although they saw Yishiwen being defeated and even injured in many places, they were very clear that it was useless to occupy an advantage now. Ichangzai was just dying before dying. If this continued, Ichangzai would die before Yishiwen was exhausted. But knowing this, they could only watch from a distance, and did not dare to step forward. This was no longer a battle they could intervene in. Even Yi Lianheng and others had no hope in the face of Yi Shiwen, who was completely enraged. The only ones who could decide the outcome of this battle were the two people in the arena. Everyone else could only wait and slowly wait. You will really be a great threat. Yi Changzai kept coughing blood. From the beginning, he kept coughing blood. As time went by, he coughed out more and more blood, even including some blood essence. His condition was still at the peak, but anyone with a discerning eye could see that he could not continue. The more it is like this, the more I can't let you live, Yi Changzai said slowly. With that said, Yi Changzai's body suddenly disappeared. Fast. 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 It was so fast that Yi Shiwen didn't even have the time to react. It seemed to have surpassed any speed he had shown in the past. Moreover, the moment his figure appeared, the air behind him completely collapsed in an instant. His speed was so fast that it had surpassed the speed at which his body tore the air apart and collapsed. Therefore, everyone could only see that the air behind him had completely collapsed the moment he appeared. This scene was exceptionally shocking, but for Yi Shiwen, this was an extremely dangerous scene. It seemed as if the spear had penetrated through space. First, the spear head appeared, and then the spear body appeared. This was an illusion that could only be produced when one's speed had reached the extreme. Moreover, the direct target was Yi Shiwen's head. He wanted to shoot Yi Shiwen's head. Yi Shiwen only had time to raise his hand instinctively, spread out his hands, and instantly blocked in front of himself. Bang! The sound of gold and iron colliding resounded, and the long spear stabbed into Yi Shiwen's palm. Puff! Blood splashed out, instantly piercing into Yi Shiwen's palm, piercing through the palm bone. Through the palm, the spear stabbed toward Yi Shiwen's face with great inertia. Although his palm was pierced, at the same time, it also bought him time to react. He did not choose to resist. Otherwise, the long spear would directly pierce his head through his palm. Instead, he chose to retreat. Yi Shiwen's body flew out in an instant, and he retreated frantically. Dang, dang, dang! Every step he took collapsed the endless air, forming a scene of a large area of air collapse. Compared to the scene caused by Yi Changzai just now, it was more shocking and explosive. After retreating for 1,000 feet, he finally managed to stop his figure. It was not because he blocked the long spear's attack, but Yi Changzai himself stopped. It's a pity! Yi Changzai's mouth overflowed with blood. Then, as if he couldn't control it at all, countless blood burst out from all the pores on his body. He quickly became a bloody man. His eyes began to blur gradually. Almost, I can get rid of this scourge from my clan, but it's still almost. Is the luck of my clan going to end here? Boom! With a loud explosion, his body burst open on the spot like a bomb, setting off a terrifying cyclone on the spot. Like a small atomic bomb, he exploded all of a sudden. A huge mushroom cloud slowly rose up. Old Patriarch! Senior! There was a sudden exclamation. Although they had more or less guessed in this regard, everyone was still stunned when they saw this scene. The most important thing was that Yi Changzai was all their reliance and hope. If Yi Changzai died, it was tantamount to a huge blow to them. Huff, huff, huff! Yi Shiwen kept panting heavily. Almost, just a little bit more. It was so close. At this time, if Yi Changzai could hold on a little longer, Yi Shiwen's head would be pierced. That was Yi Shiwen's vital point. Even if Phoenix regeneration technique was strong, being pierced in the head would result in death. Speaking of it, he had not encountered such a thrilling situation for a long time. Previously, even when he encountered the big hand in the blood realm, he was also fleeing. Although it was embarrassing, in fact, it was not very thrilling. It was because the big hand could not catch him. It just looked thrilling. This time was different. He was almost killed by Yi Changzai. As long as he persisted a little longer, he could really pierce through Yi Shiwen. Yi Shiwen stood up straight and pulled out the long spear that was stuck in his right palm. There was a bloody hole in the spear and it looked badly mutilated. It was exceptionally terrifying and the bones inside had been instantly shattered. Yishuan's tyrant body could be said to be an extremely valiant physique. It could even kill a dragon of the same level. It could be seen to what extent his body was intrepid. Moreover, his bones were the hardest part of his body. Generally speaking, it was rare for the enemies he encountered in the past to beat him into a bloody mess, let alone breaking his bones. This had never happened in the past. It showed how terrifying the power of this spear was. Although Yishuan was at a complete disadvantage just now, Yi Changzai also knew that he could not kill Yishuan. On the contrary, Yi Changzai was dying. He knew that time was running out, so he poured all the strength of his body into the last spear, trying to kill Yishuan in one blow. At the very least, he wanted to severely injure Yishuan to create the best condition for Yi Lianheng and others to kill Yishuan. Who knew that it still failed in the end? Although he pierced Yishuan's palm, he still failed to kill Yishuan in the end. When Yishuan pulled out the long spear, the wound on his palm also began to heal gradually. It healed at a speed visible to the naked eye. The power of Phoenix regeneration technique finally showed some ferocity. He clenched his fists and didn't care at all. These wounds looked very hideous and terrible. In fact, it was nothing at all. It was just that he had not been injured for many years, so he was somewhat not used to it. However, this matter also reminded him that even if he cultivated the tyrant body, he was far from invincible. "Next, it's your turn," Yishuan said in a plain tone. In this battle, blood covered the entire sea, dyeing 1,000 miles of sea red. Corpses were everywhere, shocking the world. Chapter 1146. In this battle, blood covered the entire sea, dyeing 1,000 miles of sea red. Corpses were everywhere, shocking the world. The battle that took place at sea spread throughout the entire Flourished Cloud Sea region overnight. The entire Flourished Cloud Sea region was speechless all of a sudden. No one expected such a result in the end. In fact, many people knew that the two overlords teamed up to ambush Yishuan a long time ago. Because when Yishuan killed Crocodile's Shadow and Inferno Young Master, everyone knew that the two clans would not let it go, not to mention that so many young talents died in one go. If these two clans could swallow this humiliation, then they wouldn't be two tyrannical overlord forces anymore. Over the past year or so, these two clans had already clashed with the Guiyuan sect many times because of Yishuan's matter. The final result was that these two clans were superior to the Guiyuan sect, and forced the Guiyuan sect to acquiesce to this matter. After all, the power of Guiyuan sect could not be compared with these two overlords. The two overlords sent a large number of experts to surround the sea region, waiting for Yishuan to come out. Everyone felt that Yishuan was dead. If he did not come out, he might die in the blood world. Once he came out, he could not escape the encirclement of the two overlords. 3 years seemed to be a long time for many people, but in the eyes of these experts with tyrannical cultivation, it was just a snap of the fingers. 3 years was nothing at all. Who knew that after just a year and a half, these young people who went to the Blood World trial came back all at once, and each of their strength had developed by leaps and bounds. Although the two clans did not wait for Yishuan, they also received news of Yishuan. They also knew that Yishuan was unrivaled in the Blood World. When this news came out, it immediately shocked the entire Flourished Cloud Sea region. Originally, everyone's impression of this group of people was that they were still the younger generation. However, after their return this time, they suddenly became an existence that even many of the older generation experts could not match. Everyone was paying attention to Yishuan. It was said that he was in the limelight in the Blood World. He had defeated the top geniuses of the 3 Super Sea domains. Because of this, the two overlords quickly changed their original strategy. Originally, they only sent one Transcendence Realm expert and a group of half-step Transcendence Realm experts. They thought that they would be able to defeat Yishuan. Later, they sent a group of Transcendence Realm experts. They sent almost all the Transcendence Realm experts they could. It was hard to imagine. Such an expedition army was enough to overturn the entire Flourished Cloud Sea region. Many people had never seen so many law manifestation realm experts in their lives, let alone these experts, were dispatched collectively. It was simply shocking. However, no one had expected that such a team would actually die. All of them had died tragically in Yishuan's hands. Not a single one had survived. These were the top big shots in the flourished Cloud Sea region. Now, they all died tragically. Once this news came out, everyone's reaction was disbelief at first, followed by chaos. The entire flourished Cloud Sea region was boiling, and everyone was talking about this matter. What? The experts of the two clans' expedition are all dead? How is this possible? Are you kidding me? Of course, it's true. Many people saw it with their own eyes. You don't know that the blood stained the sea for thousands of miles that day. Many sea beasts wandered in it. Many sea beasts had a breakthrough on the spot after devouring these blood essences and corpses. This can't be fake. Oh my God, there is going to be a big change. The two overlords who originally ruled the entire flourished Cloud Sea region have suffered a great loss of vitality. I am afraid that our clan will lose its former advantage in the flourished Cloud Sea region. Is the human race going to rise? Many people heard this scene in disbelief, especially the sea clans. They found it even more difficult to accept. These sea clans, no matter which clan they came from, whether they were strong or weak, had always been rampant and domineering in the flourished Cloud Sea region. Why? It was because they had the support of the three overlords of the sea clans. Now, the two overlords had lost dozens of law manifestation realm experts in one go. It could be said that their vitality had suffered a great loss. Under normal circumstances, it would not matter even if hundreds of half-step law manifestation realm experts died. As long as the law manifestation realm experts and the law manifestation realm's backbone were still there would be no problem at all. But now, even the law manifestation realm experts had fallen one after another. It was not just a great blow to their vitality. If they were not careful, they might not be able to recover from this setback. Only heavens knew how many years it would take to replenish so many lost experts. The two clans sent out a recall order almost at the same time, asking their clansmen who were outside to quickly return. This further intensified the credibility of the rumors of the two clans suffering heavy losses. Many people who were still skeptical now completely believed it. If this was not the case, why would they be nervous, let alone summon everyone back? This was rare in the history of the Vanishing Shadow Poisonous Crocodile Clan and Poisonous Flaming Dragon Clan. Every time this happened in the past, the two clans encountered a formidable enemy. They had to use the clan's defensive array to defend and survive. However, that kind of situation was rare. It only happened a few times, but every time it happened, it could be said to be a major event that caused the entire flourished Cloud Sea region to boil. And now, such a thing actually happened again. One could imagine how everyone was feeling right now, especially the vassals of the two races. Usually, after joining the two races, they would eat and drink well. Many times they would do things unscrupulously and offend many people. And now, they were abnormally nervous. Without the two races as a shield in front of them, their days in the future would not be good. Moreover, even if the two clans could escape this calamity, they would have to hide for a long time after losing dozens of law manifestation realm experts. This was because Yishuan was not their only enemy. The three overlords of the human race were their most direct opponents. Even the sky-splitting whale, an ally of the Sea Clan, could betray them at any time and hit them when they were down. Perhaps for tens of thousands of years, the two clans would have to hide like this. Thinking of this, the vassals of the two clans were in a panic. They even began to look for a new backer. The three human overlords were also a good choice. After all, with the two overlords suffering heavy losses, the situation between the human clan and the sea clan in the flourished Cloud Sea region had suddenly reversed. Originally, the sea clan was arrogant and domineering. They did not put the human clan in their eyes at all. But now, the situation was completely reversed. The human clan could be said to be proud. At this time, it was not too shameful to join the three overlords. The entire flourished Cloud Sea region was in turmoil because of Yishuan's massacre. At this time, everyone in the flourished Cloud Sea region was paying attention to the culprit. The person tracking him was in the Guiyuan sect. Yi Shiwen had just recuperated. Although he had the Phoenix regeneration technique to protect his body and was stronger than many people, some injuries still took some time to heal. More importantly, he used this time to finally push his cultivation to the peak of half-step law manifestation realm late stage. Compared to the battle with Ichan a day ago, he was more tyrannical. He had fully mastered this power. If he were to fight with Ichan at this time, there would definitely not be such a dangerous situation again. Moreover, his cultivation had truly reached the limit of half-step law manifestation realm. He could already feel that in this level of half-step law manifestation realm, he had dug out all his potential. It was impossible for him to make any further progress. Therefore, he could only come out of seclusion because it was impossible for him to make any more progress. If he wanted to make progress, he had to go through the calamity of the Transcendence realm first. Otherwise, he could not make any more progress. It was not suitable for him to transcend the retribution in the Guiyuan sect because he knew very well how terrifying his retribution was. If he triggered the retribution here, the entire Guiyuan sect might be destroyed at once. He could only find another place to transcend the retribution. Yi Shiwen suddenly had an idea, an excellent idea. When he just walked out of the door, Pei Xingqian had already been waiting on the side. He and Yi Shiwen had not seen each other for a long time, especially after Yi Shiwen fought many law manifestation realm masters. He was even more worried. But fortunately, seeing Yi Shiwen in this state, he should be fine. He was very clear that Yi Shiwen probably had a very good martial technique for body tempering, otherwise, he would not have come out so quickly. These injuries were nothing to him, not to mention Yi Shiwen. Even if he was in Yi Shiwen's place, he would have already recovered a long time ago. However, he did not know that if Yi Shiwen had only been treating his injuries, he would have come out long ago. The reason why he did not come out was that he had pushed his cultivation to its peak. That was why he was a little late. Beside Pei Xingqian, a dignified middle-aged man was looking at Yi Shiwen with a smile. Yi Shiwen, this is my master and also the sect leader of the Guiyuan sect. At this time, Pei Xingqian introduced to Yi Shiwen. Only now did Yi Shiwen realize that this person, who looked very dignified and had a warm smile on his face, was the sovereign of Guiyuan sect. Yi Shiwen quickly cupped his hands and said, "So it is the sect leader. Thank you for taking me in during this period of time. I am really grateful." Yi Shiwen was very grateful to the sect leader of the Guiyuan sect. There was no other reason. The Guiyuan sect had been paying attention to him since a long time ago, and had given him great help. Previously, when the two clans wanted him, if the Guiyuan sect had not refused to let him go, Yi Shiwen would have died a long time ago. Chapter 1147. Only then did Yi Shiwen know that this person who looked dignified but had a warm smile was the sect master of Guiyuan sect. Yi Shiwen quickly cupped his hands and said, "It turns out to be the sect master. Thank you for taking me in during this period. I'm really grateful." Yi Shiwen was extremely grateful to the sect master of Guiyuan sect. There was no other reason. Guiyuan sect had been paying attention to him since a long time ago, and provided him with great help. Previously, if it weren't for Guiyuan sect's stubbornness towards Qinshan, Yi Shiwen would have been dead long ago. If Guiyuan sect did not protect him, he could choose to leave. At most, he could just leave the flourished Cloud Sea region. He was still confident that he could escape. However, it was undeniable that Guiyuan sect once protected him. For this, they did not hesitate to fall out with the two clans on the spot. This was what Yi Shiwen valued the most. As the saying went, one should return the favor with a gushing spring. This was Yi Shiwen's philosophy of life. The so-called vengeful character was actually the embodiment of this principle. He would return the favor doubly if others treated him well. If others treated him well, he would return the favor doubly. On the contrary, if others treated him badly, he would return the favor doubly. It was as simple as that. It doesn't matter. We actually didn't pay much to achieve this. It's all the result of your own hard work. The sect master of Gui Yuan's sect did not claim credit. He just looked at Yi Shiwen with satisfaction and sighed that his foresight was right. In fact, he chose to help Yi Shiwen against the opinions of the masses. At that time, it was only for the sake of the Blood Realm trial and to save the human race and even the flourished Cloud Sea region. He did not expect Yi Shiwen to do such a big thing in the end. He directly occupied a city. Even Pei Xingqian, Sea Dragon Young Master, and the others received a lot of benefits and occupied a lot of resources. In this trip to the Blood World, everyone was able to have such a harvest. Of course, they couldn't do without the explosion of their own talents. But more importantly, Yi Shiwen occupied flourishing Cloud City, so that they no longer lacked blood stones from then on. Their cultivation advanced by leaps and bounds. Without this foundation laid by Yi Shiwen, how could they have such good results? This was also Yi Shiwen's credit. It could be said that this time, not only did he not misjudge Yi Shiwen, but most importantly, because he thought highly of Yi Shiwen, he received a generous reward. However, that was only when Pei Xingqian was in the Blood World. When Pei Xingqian came out of the Blood World, he had carefully interrogated Pei Xingqian. He also knew some of Yi Shiwen's power. However, just like the experts of the two clans, although they valued Yi Shiwen very much, they didn't think that Yi Shiwen had grown to the point where they couldn't deal with him at that time. But who knew that Yi Shiwen, who had just come out of the Blood World, would give them a big surprise, a big surprise. The mortal enemy who had been fighting with them for so many years had suffered a great loss this time. It was impossible to compete with them for at least tens of thousands of years. During these tens of thousands of years, the human clan would occupy the upper hand. What was the use of waiting for them to recover their strength after tens of thousands of years? At that time, the strength of the human clan would have already expanded to a stronger level. At that time, the human clan would be able to completely control the flourished Cloud Sea region. They would not have to live under the shadow of the Sea Clan like in the past. This was a very happy thing for the entire human clan in the Sea region. However, Yi Shiwen had become a hero in the eyes of many experts of the younger generation of the human race. You did a good job this time. You gave our human clan a good fight, said the sect master of the Gui Yuan sect with a smile. Yi Shiwen smiled and said, What I did is nothing. If the human clan wants to really rise, occupy half of the Sea Clan, or even replace them, it still depends on the human clan's own efforts. Be self-reliant. Well, be self-reliant. Many people have forgotten what it means to be self-reliant. It seems that they have completely accepted the fact that they have succumbed to the Sea Clan, said the sect master of the Gui Yuan sect. The battle between the Sea Clan and the human clan was an eternal theme in the Endless Sea region. It was just that as the human clan gradually gained a foothold in the Endless Sea region, the battle between the two sides was no longer as bloody and exaggerated as it used to be. Back then, in order to survive, the human clan fought desperately in almost every sea region. It was precisely because of the existence of countless heroic ancestors that the upper echelons of the Sea Clan had no choice but to acquiesce to the existence of the human clan. Although there were still battles, and sometimes sea regions were destroyed one by one, it was no longer comparable to the crazy clashes between the two clans in the past. Sect Master, I have something to say. Should I say it? Asked Yi Shiwen at this time. Whatever it is, you can say it, said the sect master of the Gui Yuan sect. Although Yi Shiwen was respectful to him, the sect master of the Gui Yuan sect couldn't tell good from bad. The person in front of him was a terrifying person who had completely destroyed the two clans. Although his cultivation didn't seem very high, who would dare to look down on this young master? Unknowingly, the Gui Yuan sect master put Yi Shiwen on the same level as himself. In fact, Yi Shiwen's status was even higher than his own. During the conversation, he no longer looked at Yi Shiwen as a junior. Looking at Pei Xingqian, who had already entered the law manifestation realm, the Gui Yuan sect master had to admit that the younger generation had finally grown up. With the growth of Pei Xingqian and the others, the Gui Yuan sect master could finally breathe a sigh of relief. At least, they wouldn't be like the vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan and the poisonous flaming dragon clan where the inheritance was directly cut off. Although these young experts were born every few hundred years, a group of geniuses like Pei Xingqian was born almost every few hundred years. The competitive environment they faced was much harsher than ordinary people. Because ordinary people could only compete with ordinary people at most, but these people had to compete with those young geniuses of the same generation. Was any of those people easy to deal with? Every single one of them was in existence that could shock the world. Moreover, they would be targeted by the higher-ups of the enemy forces. At any time and place, they could be attacked, tripped up, and killed. Therefore, although they were geniuses, the survival rate was very low. It was already very good to cultivate hundreds of geniuses in the same batch and have a few emerge in the end. Fortunately, among this batch of geniuses, Pei Xingqian had finally grown up. Finally, there was no need to worry about there being no successor. And this was also the credit of the young man in front of him. Therefore, he naturally wouldn't put on airs in front of Yishiwen. At this time, Yishiwen opened his mouth and said, "Sect Master, have you never thought of annihilating both clans?" "Annihilate both clans?" The Gui Yuan Sect Master looked at Yishiwen in shock. He didn't expect Yishiwen to come up with such a crazy idea. The two clans had lived in the Endless Sea region for countless years. Even before the human forces set foot here, they were already living in the Endless Sea region and were the overlords. Countless ancestors and ancestors of the Gui Yuan sect had slowly developed the Gui Yuan sect through the struggle with the two clans. It could be said that as long as the Gui Yuan sect existed, the two clans would exist. Even before the Gui Yuan sect existed, the two clans would still exist. Therefore, the experts of the Gui Yuan sect had never thought of annihilating the two clans. At most, they would suppress the two clans and force them to retreat for tens of thousands of years. That would already be a very impressive achievement. After tens of thousands of years, it would be easy to attack and defend. The situation that the future generations would face would definitely be much better than what they were facing now. These things should be solved by the younger generations instead of them. Not to mention Yishiwen, a half-step law phase realm master, even if a 6th or 7th heaven of law phase realm master wanted to barge in, it would be impossible for them to survive. Therefore, as long as one had a bit of rationality, he or she wouldn't want to barge into the nests of the two clans unless a force like the Gui Yuan sect attacked with all their might. "Do you think he really went?" the Gui Yuan sect leader asked Pei Xingqian. He was a little uncertain. "In my opinion, he's definitely going." Pei Xingqian had some suspicions at first. However, the more he spoke, the more certain he became. The reason was none other than his understanding of Yishiwen. Yishiwen was indeed a person who would do such a thing. Although he appears to be impulsive and irascible, he isn't an unwise person. On the contrary, he can be regarded as a resourceful and astute person. If Yishiwen was here and heard Pei Xingqian's words, he would also sigh. Pei Xingqian knew him best. Indeed, in the eyes of many, he was indeed reckless and irritable. When he was so weak, he even dared to provoke the vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan and the poisonous flaming dragon clan. Wasn't he crazy? In fact, this was not the case. Yishiwen did not have a choice when encountering such a sudden situation. He just had his own insistence, and would never cross the bottom line. If he encountered something that seemed a little reckless, he would also do it. For him, following his own heart was the best way to cultivate his mental state of martial arts. However, he was not an unwise person. If it was something he took the initiative to do, it would be something he was not confident about. "Then, you mean, perhaps, he truly possesses the confidence to turn the lair of the two clans upside down?" the Gui Yuan Gates master asked. "I'm afraid it's not just turning the world upside down," said Pei Xingqian. The more he said, the more certain he was of his judgment. Since Yishiwen dared to say such a thing and was very sure that the Gui Yuan sect leader would send troops later, then he must be quite confident. Unless he was crazy. But did he look like he was crazy just now? Pei Xingqian would rather believe that he was crazy than believe that Yi Shiwen was crazy. Let's do it this way. Help me pass down the order. All the higher-ups of the sect are to meet in the conference hall. If we want to do it, we must do it big. We will completely wipe out the two clans to eliminate the future troubles of our clan in the flourished Cloud Sea region. The Gui Yuan sect's lord gritted his teeth and said. Presumably, he was also struggling. He had the same thought as Pei Xingqian. Either Yi Shiwen was crazy, or he was very confident. However, would Yi Shiwen be crazy? Even if he believed that he was crazy, he would not believe that Yi Shiwen was crazy. In this case, it was an excellent opportunity to completely wipe out the two clans in the flourished Cloud Sea region. At this time, he completely showed the decisive style of a person in charge of an overlord force. Although he seemed a little timid when facing the Sea clan, it was not because he was afraid of trouble. If he was afraid of trouble, it would be impossible for him to cultivate to such a level. He was afraid that if he made a wrong decision, it might cause the Gui Yuan sect to fall into eternal damnation. He could not afford such consequences. But now, he decided to take a gamble. In addition, let the Tao Legion fully recover, activate, and get ready. This time, we want to wipe out the two clans in one fell swoop. Also, help me inform Sea Dragon Mansion and Light Cave. How can we let the Gui Yuan sect do this alone? This is related to the future of the human clan. We must let them participate. The Gui Yuan sect leader smiled strangely. How could he let the Gui Yuan sect bear this kind of pressure alone at this time? He must pull the other two overlords together. As a matter of fact, behemoths like them could not be fully mobilized easily. Once they were fully mobilized, it would be impossible to stop. Just like that cliché saying, the wheel of history rolled forward, and it could not be stopped. Just resurrecting the Tao Legion that had been nurtured for a long time was a massive consumption. I'll let the heavens decide whether my actions today are right or wrong. The fate of my clan is bet on today. Once we win, my clan will dominate the flourished Cloud Sea region and get a stable place to recuperate. If we fail, we will all be severely injured. Then, the war may be prolonged endlessly. The rise of my clan will be impossible. Yi Shiwen, I hope I didn't trust you wrongly this time. The Gui Yuan sect leader looked into the depths of the sky as if he could see Yi Shiwen's figure. At this time, Yi Shiwen's figure had disappeared above the countless miles of sea region. Although the Gui Yuan sect was far away from the two clans' lair, it was not far at all for Yi Shiwen's current strength if he flew at full speed. In just 3 hours, he finally flew all the way from Gui Yuan Island to the top of the vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan's lair. Yes, it was above because the vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan's lair was not above the water but deep under the sea. But even so, this sea and sky were obviously listed as forbidden areas by the vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan. No outsiders were allowed to approach at all. Moreover, due to the recent loss of so many experts in one go, this was the time to be extra vigilant and careful. When Yi Shiwen's figure first appeared on the sea region, it immediately attracted the attention of many tyrannical auras. All of them were half-step law manifestation realm vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan experts hidden in the dark. Although these half-step law manifestation realm experts were not as powerful as those law manifestation realm experts, they were pampered. In the absence of law manifestation realm experts, they were regarded as the top high level in the clan. They were also the most powerful experts that ordinary people could see. But now, these experts were sent out to guard. It was conceivable that Yi Shiwen slaughtering a large number of vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan's law manifestation realm experts had an impact on them. Especially with the death of Yi Lianheng, Yi Wufa, Yi Chengzai, the vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan's experts. The vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan's experts were like dragons without a leader. At this time, the vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan's high-level experts were still fighting for power. However, because of this incident, the vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan's alert level was raised by several levels. It was not the same as usual. Even half-step law manifestation realm experts were sent to guard. From this, it could be seen how weak they were. Usually, they didn't even need to do this because they had so many Transcendence realm experts. Who would dare to charge into their lair? But in this weakest situation in history, they could not help but be anxious. Even if there was only a slight possibility, they must be contained. Who dares to break into our vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan's territory? A loud shout came from all directions as if the source was nowhere to be found. Chapter 1149. Who dares to break into our vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan's ancestral land? A loud shout came from all directions, as if the source could not be found at all. Trying to play tricks in front of me? Yishiwen sneered. He directly spread his hand and grabbed toward the void. Immediately, a vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan half-step law manifestation realm expert was caught. Looking at the vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan expert, Yishiwen sneered. I didn't find the wrong place. This should be the vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan's ancestral land. The so-called ancestral land was the true origin place of a clan. It was also the true forbidden land of a clan. In the ancestral land of each clan, there were their own unique secrets, which also represented the inheritance of the clan. Once something happened to this ancestral land, it meant that the clan was really finished. For any clan, inheritance was the most important thing. Once there was no inheritance, it was impossible for the clan to rise again. You are Yishiwen? At this time, the man seemed to finally recognize the guy in front of him. What kind of guy was he? This was the peerless killing god who killed the 3 pillars of their clan. Yishiwen, you dared to come to our ancestral land. Do you want to die? At this time, the vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan expert said unconvincingly. Ancestral land? Why wouldn't I dare to break in? Yishiwen said coldly. Clang! 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 Countless cold weapon lights shot out from the surroundings, and chopped down towards Yishiwen. Yishiwen's palm was like an iron hoop around his neck. With a casual flick, all the attacks that were coming at him landed on this expert who was half a step into the Transcendence realm in an instant. The half-step law manifestation realm expert, who was firmly held by Yishiwen, only had time to scream. He was blasted to death by his own companion. However, none of those attacks fell on Yishiwen's body. At this time, a loud shout came from the sky. An iron spear pierced through the void and instantly rushed towards Yishiwen's forehead. It was as if the spear was about to blast his head. This spear seemed to have displayed the spear Dao to the extreme. A Transcendence realm expert hiding in the dark had made a move. Whether it was in terms of strength or other aspects, he was far stronger than these half-step Transcendence realm warriors. Many half-step law manifestation realm vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan experts around were a little intoxicated when they saw this spear. This was a terrifying law manifestation realm expert. Although they were in the half-step law manifestation realm, they were considered experts in the vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan. They were respected by thousands of people. However, only the law manifestation realm experts could really dominate the vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan. If they wanted to obtain such honor, there was only one way. That was to improve their strength and reach the law manifestation realm in one fell swoop. At that time, they would become the true ruler of the vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan and even the entire flourished Cloud Sea region. To be able to cultivate to this level, it was needless to say that their own martial arts cultivation was naturally strong. They were also known as martial arts grandmasters outside, but when they saw this spear, they still felt like they were in a dream and extremely unreal. This was the true power of a law manifestation realm expert. However, before they could recover from this extremely surreal and dreamy feeling, they saw a fiery red saber shadow slashing out in an instant. Almost in an instant, it rushed to the front of that person. The spear chi that was unusually high-spirited just a moment ago was also completely covered by the saber light in an instant. Even the horizon was cut into two sections by this saber light. The originally incomparably powerful iron spear, upon encountering the saber's shadow, almost collapsed upon contact. It was routed all the way back, and it was even faster than when it had rushed over. Boom! There was a loud sound. When the spear radiance was completely destroyed by the saber radiance, an endless cyclone rose with a loud sound. The saber radiance's momentum did not diminish. Like a fiery red waterfall, it chopped down from the sky. At this time, in the void where no one could see, several experts fell from the sky and revealed their figures. A law manifestation realm expert could not resist at all. His entire arm was cut off by Yi Shiwen's saber aura. Ah! The vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan expert suddenly screamed. He almost couldn't maintain his figure, and fell directly. Damn, you little bastard! Not only did you plot against our vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan experts, you even dared to cause trouble near our ancestral land. You must be tired of living! The law manifestation realm expert covered his broken arm and said with great difficulty. I have already sent a message just now. You are dead! Yi Shiwen sneered. He simply didn't put these people in his eyes. In fact, in the eyes of many experts of the younger generation, these people had lived for a long time in vain. In fact, they had lived like dogs for so many years. Such an expert might be very powerful for others, but there was no way to suppress Yi Shiwen. He was not even Yi Shiwen's opponent at all. At this time, probably only an expert at the 4th level of the Transcendence realm could suppress him, but they could only suppress him. It was impossible to kill him. In the 3rd sky of Law Manifestation realm, Yi Shiwen was already invincible, let alone a warrior who had just entered the Law Manifestation realm. It was impossible for the warrior to be Yi Shiwen's opponent. Perhaps it was because the entire vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan was now in a state of panic. Any slight movement could attract many experts to encircle and annihilate them. After Yi Shiwen cut off the arm of the Law Manifestation realm expert, those people had already rushed over. All of them were Law Manifestation realm experts. At a glance, there were more than 10 people. Although the lineup could not be compared with the ones sent to besiege Yi Shiwen previously, Yi Shiwen still had to sigh. The foundation of the vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan's 6 overlords was definitely not a joke. Although they did not see the previous battle, they shuddered when they saw Yi Shiwen break the defense of a Law Manifestation realm master with one slash, and even cut off his arm. Seeing Yi Shiwen's terrifying combat power in person was countless times more terrifying than what they heard in the battle report. This man is so powerful. He must not be left alive. Otherwise, he will definitely be a great threat to our clan. At this time, the remaining vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan's Law Manifestation realm experts' eyes flashed with murderous intent. They were even more determined to kill Yi Shiwen. Strangled in the cradle. Before this, Yi Shiwen and the 2 clans still had room for reconciliation. Now, it was really a battle to the death. Either you die or I die. There was no room for reconciliation at all. Previously, only some young experts died. Although the 2 clans suffered heavy losses, it had not shaken their vitality. Now, with the fall of a large number of Law Manifestation realm experts, the vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan's vitality had been greatly damaged. It was absolutely impossible to reconcile with Yi Shiwen. Yi Shiwen himself had no intention of reconciling at all. Plot? You said I plot against them? Do I need to plot against them? Yi Shiwen sneered. He immediately slashed in the air with saber aura filling the sky. Under his control, the saber aura slashed down bit by bit. At this time, Yi Shiwen was like the reincarnation of an ancient god of slaughter, cold and ruthless, overflowing with murderous intent. Not good, this little bastard is going crazy. Everyone, mobilize the enchantment and suppress him together. At this time, a vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan expert roared. He directly pinched a seal. Then, from the bottom of the sea, a terrifying light beam swept up and went straight to Yi Shiwen. At this time, other vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan experts reacted one after another. At this time, it was impossible to kill Yishiwen with their own strength. Initially, there was a saying in the vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan that Lianheng and the others were plotted against by Yishiwen. Otherwise, they would not be completely annihilated in Yishiwen's hands. But now, seeing Yishiwen's performance, they were very clear that the plot was ridiculous. With such strength, was there a need to plot against them? Although they did not know how Yishiwen became so terrifying, one thing was clear. No matter what, Yishiwen was not someone they could deal with now. If it were elsewhere, they would definitely turn around and leave. They dared not confront Yishiwen at all. However, this was their ancestral land, where countless secrets of their clan were buried. Anyone who dared to be presumptuous in their ancestral land was courting death. Countless tyrannical rays of light rushed out directly from the bottom of the sea, shaking the world. It was gorgeous and dazzling. It was as if countless stars rushed out from it. Although they were not martial arts, each ray of light contained the trajectory of Tao. No one knew how many years ago, the vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan's ancestors buried the array at the bottom of the sea. All of them were resurrected at once. This was only used to deal with peerless enemies that they had no way to deal with. Even in the history of the vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan, the array was resurrected only a few times. Now, it was resurrected because of Yishiwen. Unknowingly, Yishiwen had grown to such a point, making them feel the crisis of clan extinction. Chapter 1150. If these attacks all hit, even a master at the fourth heaven of the law manifestation realm would probably die on the spot. The dense and numerous attacks swept across, leaving no space for Yishiwen to dodge. Yishiwen just sneered in the face of the attack of the Great Formation. Countless sword ki condensed in his hand, and transformed into a sword. He held it in his hand, and without any hesitation, he directly rushed in. His figure was like a golden lightning, shuttling back and forth between these attacks. These attacks swept past him, and every time they swept past, Yishiwen seemed to have dodged them by a hair's breadth. They couldn't even touch Yishiwen's side. At this moment, Yishiwen kept slashing with the sword in his hand. Boom! 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 The sword in Yishiwen's hand kept slashing. Those attacks that collided with Yishiwen's sword were instantly slashed into nothingness. He was so brave that he didn't seem like a mortal. He was like a golden god of war, and time seemed to have stopped at this moment. That's impossible! How is that possible? The master of the law manifestation realm who had his arm cut off by Yishiwen looked at Yishiwen in disbelief. He couldn't believe that someone could be so fast. Even if he couldn't dodge, he could still slash with his sword. This speed was so fast that even his divine thoughts couldn't keep up with it. It was completely unbelievable that such a thing was happening in front of them. In Yishiwen's mind, the mysterious space began to deduce frantically. It wanted to find the rhythm and pattern of these attacks from these attacks. He had reached an incredible speed in the eyes of others. However, he knew that he was running for his life under such intensive attacks. It was unknown how many years these matrix arrays had been buried. So, there was plenty of energy inside them. This was the last life-saving method of their clan. Perhaps, it wouldn't be a problem even if it had been placed here for decades or even centuries. However, Yishiwen would be exhausted to death. He needed to figure out some of the mysteries and rules of this matrix array. In his mind, countless spirit crystals were being burned and poured into the mysterious space. Countless mysteries were being deduced and understood by him at once. At this time, Yishiwen had completely adapted to this rhythm, as if he had seen through the rhythm and rules of these attacks. Originally, he needed to use all his strength to dodge, but now, he seemed to be able to dodge these threats easily. In his eyes, a huge map had already appeared. As long as he followed the markings on the map, there wouldn't be any problems. So he began to move. His figure suddenly flew across the sea like a bolt of lightning and rushed to these vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan experts in the law manifestation realm. If he killed this group of law manifestation realm experts, then the vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan would never be able to turn the tables. When he reappeared, he was already in front of the expert whose arm he had cut off. Go to hell, go to hell. I don't believe it. All of this is an illusion. It's all an illusion. My fate is up to me. I will kill you today. Otherwise, my clan will never have a peaceful day. The face of the Transcendence Realm Master who had his arm cut off by Yi Shiwen was livid. It was as if he had been possessed by a demon. His eyes were red, and he let out a strange cry. The iron spear in his hand instantly pierced through the sky and suddenly accelerated towards Yi Shiwen's body. He didn't put Yi Shiwen in his eyes at first. He was also one of those who believed in the theory of sneak attacks. Who knew that after facing Yi Shiwen face to face, he couldn't even withstand one move from Yi Shiwen. One of his arms was immediately cut off. If he didn't walk fast enough, he might have been split in half by Yi Shiwen on the spot. For him, this wasn't just a matter of extraordinary shame and humiliation. He had also subverted all of his previous views and the set of standards that he thought the world had. An inner demon had long formed in his heart. If he couldn't get rid of this inner demon, he could forget about advancing in this lifetime. He might even fall from this realm and return to the half-step transcendence realm. That was very possible. This spear condensed all his strength. Under full force, it directly distorted the vast sky, penetrated the vacuum, and instantly blasted in front of Yi Shiwen. Unexpectedly, Yi Shiwen didn't dodge at all. He just brandished his sword and launched a shocking sword light. It instantly blasted on the spear. Dang! A loud sound of metal clashing resounded from the point where the spear and the sword collided. An extremely terrifying energy shockwave instantly rushed out, exploding the air and forming a vacuum. Then, the air in the distance filled in at an astonishing speed, forming a shocking scene. Ah! The one-armed expert let out a blood-curdling screech. The terrifying force passed through the long spear and instantly bombarded his arm. His only remaining arm was also directly smashed by Yi Shiwen. Countless muscles, broken bones, and blood vessels were all mixed together. Even if he wanted to recover, it wouldn't be something that could be done in a short period of time. However, would Yi Shiwen give him the opportunity to recover? Yi Shiwen's eyes were cold. The long sword in his hand slashed at a faster speed. His body moved with the sword, and he instantly appeared in front of the one-armed warrior. Puff! The sword light flashed directly between his neck, and a beautiful blood flower instantly splashed on his neck. His eyes widened, and he stared at Yi Shiwen. His body was still struggling and trembling slightly, but it was of no use. He fell directly from the void, and his vitality was cut off by Yi Shiwen in an instant. Damn it, you dared to kill our vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan expert. You are dead. You are dead! A vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan elder yelled wildly. Old guys, I think you have a bad memory. Not to mention these small fries, even Yi Lianheng, Yi Changzai, Yi Wufa, these people died in my hands. But so what? Yi Shiwen sneered. Old guys, I think you have a bad memory. Suddenly, those people woke up at once. Yeah, that's right. They had completely forgotten what kind of terrifying killing god the person in front of them was. In his opinion, the vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan's reputation was not much more precious than a piece of paper to wipe his ass. In other words, it was not even worth a fart. Wasn't it ridiculous to try to scare him? There was a burst of sadness in his heart. Since when did the vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan's prestige become a joke in the eyes of others? Today, none of you can leave. Vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan? Removed from the clan from now on. Yi Shiwen's figure floated in the air. His black hair fluttered. His eyes were cold and murderous. In his opinion, this was a matter related to the survival of the two clans. Who was wrong? Perhaps both sides were wrong, but someone must pay the price for it. His cold gaze swept across many vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan experts who rushed over. In his eyes, these people were almost like dead people. He did not put them in his eyes at all. Invite the clan soldier. This bastard is a real demon. Without paying a huge price, I'm afraid we can't win against him. We must invite the clan soldier. I don't believe he can be arrogant in front of our clan's invincible clan soldier. At this time, a vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan expert roared. Other vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan experts reacted one after another. Yes, if they were alone, even with the power of the restriction, there seemed to be no way to restrain this guy. Even the power of the restriction was seen through by him. It could not cause any harm to him at all. At this time, the only thing they could rely on was the invincible clan soldier that had fought in the flourished Cloud Sea region for many years. Although it was a little like bullying with numbers, they could not care so much now. On the other side, these vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan experts constantly activated the restriction to prevent Yishuan from approaching. They must trap Yishuan in it. However, as time went by, they found that the restriction's suppression on Yishuan was getting weaker and weaker. It was as if Yishuan had seen through the restriction. All the attacks would be known by him in advance. Everyone felt a chill in their hearts. They had never seen such a person in their entire lives. Perhaps they would never have the chance to see such a person in the future. But now, this person had become a great calamity for them, a calamity that had to be eradicated. Not long after, the originally calm seabed was suddenly filled with countless tyrannical auras. Waves of auras from military formations swept over. Soon afterward, the owners of these auras emerged at once. It was a terrifying army of hundreds of thousands. These were the peak experts in the vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan. Each of them was at least a half-step transcendent realm expert. The most elite among them were half-step law manifestation realm, and even law manifestation realm experts. Yishuan's pupils shrank slightly. This was the vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan's clan soldier. The clan soldier would only be dispatched when the two clans were at war. They were dispatched because of him. Chapter 1151. Generally speaking, clan soldiers would only be dispatched when the two clans were at war. Unlike the collision between top experts, once the clan soldiers were dispatched, it would escalate into a life-and-death battle between the two clans. Generally speaking, any force relied on two extremes. The high-end side was the top combat power, which was the law manifestation realm experts. The other low-end side naturally relied on the clan soldiers in these forces, or the Tao Soldier Legion. These were the two most intimidating weapons. Once they were revealed, it would mean that they would fight to the death. Now, the vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan's law manifestation realm experts were almost crippled by Yishuan. Therefore, the only remaining weapon that had deterrent power was this clan soldier army. When hundreds of thousands of people rushed toward you, you would understand what terror was. Hundreds of thousands of people were at least half-step transcendent realm experts. The strongest was already the law manifestation realm experts. When they gathered into an army and appeared in front of you, it was a terrifying thing. When they rushed out, countless seawater was pushed away, revealing an incomparably terrifying and ferocious side. When a team of vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan's clansmen clad in iron armor and holding long spears appeared in front of them, everyone truly understood why the vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan could dominate the flourished Cloud Sea region. It relied on far more than those law manifestation realm experts. There was also this large number of clan soldiers. In the past, even 10,000 of them were enough to annihilate a first-class force in the flourished Cloud Sea region. The gap between the first-class forces in the flourished Cloud Sea region and the 6 overlords was not insignificant. It was not as many people thought. It was just a little gap, but a huge gap. This was why for so many years, the first-class forces in the flourished Cloud Sea region continued to rise and fall, but the 6 overlords were still the 6 overlords. With 10,000 people, they could annihilate a first-class force. When hundreds of thousands of people appeared on the sea, not only Yishuan was shocked, But many spies who had been lurking in the vicinity of the vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan were also shocked at this time. Since the two clans had suffered heavy losses, many forces began to unscrupulously place their spies near the ancestral lands of the two clans. The battle just now had happened too suddenly, and they didn't have time to react. But now, they finally came to their senses. "Oh my God, is that the vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan's clan soldier? In the past, it was already a matter that shook the entire sea region if he could attract 10,000 people. But now, hundreds of thousands of people have appeared. Has Yishiwen become so strong?" This time, Yishiwen really forced the vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan to go all out. For thousands of years, no one has ever forced the vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan to such a point. Even the other 5 overlords can't do it. That's natural. The other overlords have big businesses. They have to be careful when doing things. Under normal circumstances, it is impossible to force the vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan to such a point. Once it happens, it will be a lose-lose situation. In this battle, regardless of whether Yishiwen can escape or not, he will become famous throughout the flourished Cloud Sea region. He will become Xinhua, a legend. Even after another 1,000 years or 10,000 years, there will be people who will praise his legend. No matter how optimistic the people were about Yishiwen, at this time, facing hundreds of thousands of vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan soldiers, they were no longer optimistic about Yishiwen. Although they were known as the 2 trump cards of those high-end experts, in fact, for everyone, the Dao Soldier Legion was the truly terrifying existence, especially when an individual was facing a legion of hundreds of thousands of clan soldiers. As long as they were surrounded, they would be dead. These clan soldiers were all nurtured with great effort by the various clans. They were the greatest trump cards, and also the most frequently used to turn weapons. The resources they enjoyed were even more than many geniuses in the clans. However, the resources they enjoyed were those that squeezed out their potential and talent, and were a little different from those geniuses. Enjoying so many benefits, these clan soldiers were often loyal and unafraid of death. Even if it was a law manifestation expert, 7th level, 8th level, or even higher, facing so many clan soldiers, once surrounded, it would be a dead end. They could only escape before the encirclement. No one would want to face such an army. "Brat, you're dead. I'm going to tear you into pieces." At this time, a law phase realm expert shouted. "It's time for this little bastard to pay the price for his actions. No one has ever forced our clan to this extent without paying the price. Die! Die! Die!" This clan soldier army of hundreds of thousands of people constantly shouted the word, "Die," and approached Yishiwen. Not only did they want the enemy to die, but they were also unafraid of death. At this time, those vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan law manifestation experts even faintly surrounded Yishiwen, fearing that he would run away. Indeed, at this time, everyone was most afraid that Yishiwen would run away. This was also the most likely outcome. Most people's first reaction when they saw the clan soldier army was to turn around and flee. However, what made them feel a little strange was that Yishiwen wasn't like this. He didn't have the slightest intention of escaping. Instead, he just said softly, "It's time to end this. If this force is also erased, then it's time to remove its name." Those law manifestation realm vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan experts were a little stunned when they heard Yishiwen's words. Is he crazy? Even if there were hundreds of thousands of pigs in front of him, it would not be a matter of a day and a night to kill them all. What's more, there were hundreds of thousands of elite vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan experts. Did he see so many vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan experts that he was scared silly? Yishiwen smiled slightly. The aura on his body began to swell instantly. Little by little, it rose crazily. Isn't it a little too late to make a last-minute effort now? Ha ha ha, even if a deity descends to Earth today, he can't save you. A vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan law manifestation expert laughed as if he saw the most ridiculous thing in the world. He thought that Yishiwen was trying to make a last-minute effort to improve his strength. Yes, even if the ancient deities turn around and resurrect, they can't save you. Go to hell, little bastard. You have to be responsible for what you have done. No matter how they insulted him, Yishiwen did not fight back. Who would quarrel with a dead person? Boom! Suddenly, there was a thunderclap between heaven and earth. Endless dark clouds began to gather gradually, forming one cloud layer after another. In these clouds, countless thunder and lightning were surging in them. Boom! The thunder was loud and resounding throughout the world. Endless thunderclouds began to gather, and lightning dragons were surging in it. What's going on? Everyone stared blankly at the boundless clouds that began to gather in the sky. If it was just an ordinary layer of clouds, they wouldn't care at all. Even the weakest person present could casually destroy a large layer of clouds. However, the real problem was that this wasn't an ordinary layer of clouds. They could actually feel the heavenly might from the boundless layer of clouds. Yes, it was the heavenly might. The heaven's might was vast and mighty. It went straight to the soul. No matter what species or what kind of expert, they were all the people of heaven. Under the mighty heaven's might, there was no difference. The hundreds of thousands of troops were also in an uproar. Generally speaking, they could be said to be immovable like a mountain. Even if they were asked to jump into a sea of fire, they would not frown. They would jump directly. After so many years of brainwashing in the clan, they had long instilled the idea of the clan's supremacy in their minds. It was unbreakable. But in the face of this increasingly intense heaven's might, these clan soldiers who were unafraid of death could not calm down. No matter what kind of warrior they were, they all had a great fear of the heaven. Regardless of whether they were righteous or evil warriors, they were all the same. It was normal for them to tremble under the heaven's might. Heavenly tribulation! Someone is going to undergo heavenly tribulation! Everyone's expression changed. They didn't expect that someone would actually undergo heavenly tribulation here. The most terrifying thing was that everyone looked at the boundless dark clouds. The scale of this heavenly tribulation must be boundless. The more boundless it was, the more terrifying the heavenly tribulation was. They didn't expect that someone's heavenly tribulation could be so large. Could it be the heavenly tribulation when advancing to the law phase realm? Those experts in the law phase realm immediately reacted. The feeling of this heavenly tribulation was too familiar. It was the same feeling they had when they underwent the unforgettable heavenly tribulation of the law phase realm. However, when they underwent the heavenly tribulation, it was less than 1/10 of this scale. The unforgettable feeling made them unable to forget it for the rest of their lives. In fact, even among the many geniuses, those who could survive the heavenly tribulation of the law phase realm were less than 1/10. For them, it was a nightmare that they didn't want to recall. When they passed the heavenly tribulation, they almost died. Now that they felt this heavenly tribulation again, one could imagine the mood in their hearts. All of them had a drastic change in their expressions. At this time, they remembered that Yishiwen seemed to be at the half-step law phase realm late stage. He was at the juncture of breaking through to the law phase realm. But in the past, everyone had forgotten that even existences like Yi Lianheng, Yi Wufa, and Yi Changzai fell in his hands. How many people dared to treat him as a half-step law phase realm late-stage warrior? Chapter 1152. But thinking about it, Yishiwen was only a half-step law manifestation late, yet he could defeat the law manifestation experts. It seemed normal to have such a terrifying heaven's retribution. Once Yishiwen transcended heaven's retribution, no one in the flourished Cloud Sea region could restrain him, but the premise was that he could transcend it. Is he going to transcend heaven's retribution in front of everyone? Isn't this courting death? Indeed, Yishiwen was courting death. In everyone's view, Yishiwen was afraid of the vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan and the poisonous flaming dragon clan, so he wanted to transcend heaven's retribution to improve his strength. It was as if he had lost his mind at this moment, and made this decision. Everyone began to feel restless. In the face of heaven's retribution, everyone seemed too small. Even if they all knew that this was Yishiwen's retribution, everyone still had a feeling of trembling when they saw these heaven's retribution. Yishiwen looked up at the tribulation clouds in the sky, and his mood was extremely solemn. Transcending heaven's retribution here was destined to not be so easy. Voila! Almost in an instant, the sky began to rain lightning weapons without any warning. Countless sabers, spears, swords, and halberds made of lightning fell from the sky and smashed directly into the sea. Boom! 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 There were crazy explosions everywhere. These hundreds of thousands of vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clansmen army, all under the shroud of heaven's retribution, smashed down madly. The vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan's army, which was neat before, was all in chaos. No one expected it to be like this, especially the vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan's army in the outermost area. They suffered heavy losses all at once, bearing most of the heaven's retribution's power. Although these vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clansmen were elites, most of the time, they won with a large number. Many of them were even just half-step transcendent realm, just more elite than many great sages. Even if the flourished Cloud Sea region was small, in fact, great sage could only be regarded as an ordinary person. Only those above half-step transcendent realm could be regarded as a small master. Those above the transcendent realm could be regarded as influential figures. Only those in the law manifestation realm could hold great power. Ordinary heaven's retribution was nothing to them, but it also depended on what kind of heaven's retribution it was. This was the heaven's retribution that Yishiwen had crossed. It was the biggest heaven's retribution that Yishiwen had faced since he became a law manifestation realm expert. It was a variant heaven's retribution, which was far more terrifying than ordinary heaven's retribution by 10 times or even 100 times. Even if it was not specifically aimed at them, they would suffer heavy losses just by being affected. This was only the first wave, and there were already hundreds of elite clan soldiers who died on the spot before they could even react. At this time, the vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan's law manifestation experts also reacted. Yishiwen intended to annihilate their clan army with heaven's retribution. If it were only him, then Yishiwen would not be able to deal with hundreds of thousands of clan soldiers even if he exhausted himself. However, with the help of heaven's retribution, the situation was completely different. If it were them, it might not be a problem. They had already entered the law manifestation realm. Their strength was extraordinary. Moreover, heaven's retribution was not aimed at them. It was mainly aimed at Yishiwen. Hence, it was insufficient to deal with them. However, it was more than enough to deal with these clan soldiers. These heaven's retribution were extremely terrifying. All of them were variant heaven's retribution. These clan soldiers would be seriously injured if they were touched by it. If they were hit on the spot, it would be a dead end. These heaven's retribution were used to kill a monster like Yishiwen. How could these clan soldiers withstand it? Initially, the range might not be so large. However, more and more clan soldiers entered the range of heaven's retribution, which directly stimulated heaven's retribution. The range of heaven's retribution expanded, encircling the entire vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan's ancestral land. Even if the descending variant heaven's retribution did not hit the clan soldiers, it directly fell into the ancestral land at the bottom of the sea. Although there were various arrays arranged in the ancestral land, they could not withstand such a violent bombardment. What kind of array could withstand such a violent bombardment? This was heaven's retribution, which represented heaven's retribution. How could their small vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan compete with heaven's retribution? He is going to destroy our clan's foundation. A vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan's law manifestation realm elder exclaimed. You are ruthless! He pointed at Yishiwen with trembling fingers. Aren't you afraid of harming the heavens? Heavens? If heaven has eyes, it will respect the strong. Your vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan has done this kind of annihilation countless times. You can be the overlord for countless years. It can be seen that heaven has no eyes. Even if it has eyes, it will respect the strong. Yishuwen didn't care at all. He just sneered and said, "If heaven had eyes, the vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan would have been annihilated countless times. The law of the jungle itself was one of the rules of heaven. Don't you think this flourished cloud sea region is too small? It can't accommodate so many overlords." Yishuwen said with a sigh, "I am a human after all. This clan gave me my body and molded my soul. I can't get rid of it in this life. Quick, retreat!" Those vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan experts shouted. But at this time, it was not so easy to retreat. Heaven's retribution had already locked on them. Although it was not targeting them, it was not so easy for them to escape. They couldn't escape at all. Not to mention, how could they keep up with Yishuwen's speed? Moreover, the heavenly retribution was only following Yishuwen. Under the situation where Yishuwen was following them closely, they suffered heavy losses all of a sudden. It was just a short time. Among hundreds of thousands of people, tens of thousands died under heaven's retribution. Not to mention, in the ancestral land below, countless arrays were destroyed by heaven's retribution. It was a mess. Countless vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan clansmen fled. They wanted to escape, but after the array was activated, it was not so easy to escape. They could only watch those arrays being completely destroyed under heaven's retribution. "I will fight with you." A vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan expert looked at Yishuwen, trembling. He was so angry that his face turned blue. He suddenly rushed toward Yishuwen. At this time, several other law manifestation experts also rushed toward Yishuwen. They all saw that the only way to resolve this crisis was to kill Yishuwen. If Yishuwen died, then heaven's retribution would naturally dissipate. The vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan could still be saved. If they could not stop Yishuwen, then the vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan would be finished. Yishuwen spread his hands. Countless thunder and lightning were added to his body. Compared with the electric snakes and electric dragons on his body, the heaven's retribution encountered by the clan soldier legion was nothing at all. For a time, his whole person seemed to be completely annihilated in these thunder and lightning seas. In the eyes of ordinary people, this was already a great calamity, but for Yishuwen, it was just an appetizer. He had survived so many tribulations. That tribulation was too simple for others. It was simply impossible for them to survive. However, it was normal for Yishuwen. It was just an appetizer. However, the appetizer was already so terrifying. The entire vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan could not withstand it. The heaven's retribution was mighty and unpredictable. Those vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan experts clamored to kill Yishuwen. At this time, they could only scream in pain as heaven's retribution smashed them into a bloody mess. The closer to Yishuwen, the denser and more terrifying heaven's retribution. Yishuwen's tyrant body had been split open, and his body was emitting green smoke. Many bones in their bodies had been split open, and their flesh had been scorched. They simply could not imagine what kind of person could cause such a heavenly tribulation. Perhaps he had really incurred the wrath of the heavens and the resentment of the people. Even the heavens could not stand it, and wanted to strike him to death. If it was not the wrath of heaven, then there was only one possibility. The person in front of them was a great demon. Only then would heaven send out such a heaven's retribution to punish him. Is this the heaven's retribution of the law manifestation realm? Even as experts in the law manifestation realm, they had no way to deal with it. If it were an ordinary half-step law manifestation realm warrior, he would be killed in just one move. Not to mention being able to block it. At this time, they had already begun to regret. They regretted provoking Yishuwen. If they didn't provoke Yishuwen, then everything might be different. However, they did not have time to think about this. They all used their own means. It was not easy to survive under this heaven's retribution. However, Yi Shiwen did not intend to stand idly by in this situation. He saw that his speed was also very fast in the heaven's retribution. In an instant, he had already pounced in front of a law manifestation realm expert. Boom! With a loud air-piercing sound, Yi Shiwen's palm blasted into the expert's body. The law manifestation realm expert, who had been tormented by heaven's retribution, could not resist Yi Shiwen's blow. Yi Shiwen immediately blasted him with the palm. He was completely submerged in the sea of thunder and lightning. In a short while, he was smashed into charcoal. In fact, Yi Shiwen did not even need to make a move. As long as he stood beside someone, he could attract countless thunder and lightning, smashing them to death. He was like a jinx. Wherever he went, the law manifestation realm experts would die instantly. However, these law manifestation realm experts who were entangled by heaven's retribution had no way to leave. They could only watch Yi Shiwen pounce on them. Chapter 1153. Above the endless sea region of the flourished cloud sea region, the mighty legion of millions of Tao soldiers swept across. Wherever they passed, all the major forces were shocked. They looked at the legion composed of 3 Tao soldiers as though they had seen a ghost. The mighty legion seemed to be marching in an unknown direction. Isn't this the Tao soldiers of Light Cave, Ge Yuan Sect, and Sea Dragon Mansion? Oh my god, why did the 3 parties join forces? Is there a big operation on the human side? A Sea Clan expert saw this scene and said in confusion. Although they were all overlords, compared to the Sea Clan overlords, the human overlords were undoubtedly much more low-key. They rarely raided and exterminated clans like the Sea Clan overlords. Generally, it was a major event when the Tao soldiers were dispatched, not to mention so many Tao soldiers joining forces. A legion of millions of Tao soldiers was enough to flatten the entire flourished Cloud Sea region. Even a Sea Clan overlord could not resist it. Even if the overlord hid in the ancestral land, it would be difficult to escape death. Of course, in this case, these Tao soldiers would also suffer heavy losses. For the 3 human overlords to dispatch so many Tao soldiers, in addition to the Sea Clan overlord's opponent, it was a foreign enemy invasion. This was the only possibility. If there was a foreign enemy invasion, then it was not just this. It was impossible for them not to receive any news at all. Basically, the forces in the entire flourished Cloud Sea region depended on these 6 major forces to survive. In other words, if there was a foreign enemy invasion, they would definitely be recruited a large number of experts. Even the Tao soldiers in the forces would be recruited as cannon fodder. But since there was no news in this regard, it should not be a foreign enemy invasion. However, if it was not a foreign enemy invasion, could it be that the humans were going to war with the Sea Clan? If it were in the past, the Sea Clan, which was accustomed to being domineering, would not have such thoughts at all. If the humans wanted to rebel, they would not dare to do so even if they had the guts. Although the human race also had 3 overlords, in fact, in the entire flourished Cloud Sea region, the power of the Sea Clan was still above the overall strength of the human race. Their living space was much broader than that of the human race. The human race could only survive on sporadic islands in the flourished Cloud Sea region. It was far inferior to the Sea Clan. The endless space in the entire sea and even some islands on the sea were occupied by them as a place for reproduction. Therefore, the strength of the human race had always been inferior to the strength of the sea race. This was also the reason why the human race was much more low-key than the sea race among the 3 overlords. They were inferior to the human race, so it was only natural. But now it was different. In the current flourished Cloud Sea region, the power of the Sea Clan had undergone subtle changes. With the death of nearly 100 law manifestation realm experts in the hands of Yi Shiwen, the power of the Sea Clan suffered a heavy blow. More than 100 Transcendence realm experts occupied almost half of the Sea race's Transcendence realm experts. Even if the Sea race didn't suffer a great loss in strength, it was almost the same as losing all of them. At this time, it could be said that the Sea Clan was at its weakest in the flourished Cloud Sea region. It was very likely that the human race would take the opportunity to do something. Thinking of this, many of the Sea Clan members were horrified. Although the three overlords were a mountain pressing on the Sea Clan's head, both large and small forces would be directly or indirectly exploited by them. The three overlords were also a shield for the Sea Clan to protect their survival and development. Without the three overlords, the situation of the entire Sea Clan would undergo the most fundamental change. In particular, they all saw that the million-strong Tau Legion was actually heading in the direction of the vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan's lair. This made the rumor that the human race was going to war with the Sea Clan even louder. Among the million-strong Tau Legion, many people felt many tyrannical auras. Many familiar law manifestation realm experts also appeared among them, further confirming the rumor. Unless the human race wanted to go to war with the Sea Clan, how could they dispatch so many terrifying experts? At this time, the entire flourished Cloud Sea region was in a state of chaos. Everyone kept quiet out of fear. Many forces suddenly strengthened their own defenses and began to recall their clansmen, or disciples who were outside. For them, a fight between these overlord forces was a fight between immortals, and the mortals would suffer. They didn't want to get involved in this matter at all. No matter how they fought between the six overlords, they were still the six overlords. As long as they were careful, no one could make them decline. However, these forces were not comparable to those overlord forces. Even if they were first-class forces, they were cannon fodder in front of the overlord forces. Once the war between the two clans broke out, could they stay out of it? For so many years, the two clans did not have a clan war. To a large extent, the human race had to tolerate the Sea Clan's continuous encroachment on their living space in exchange for time and opportunities to increase their strength. Of course, some Sea Clans didn't care at all. They are courting death. The Vanishing Shadow Poisonous Crocodile Clan and the Poisonous Flaming Dragon Clan are the two overlords of our Sea Clan. Even if they have declined, they are not to be bullied by ordinary people. What's more, only some law manifestation realm experts died. They still have a huge Tau Legion. In the ancestral land, there are countless arrays. It's wishful thinking to invade. If you don't plan to perish together, don't even think about it. This idea was recognized by many people. In fact, it was true. The six overlords had been at peace for so many years. Although there were some small frictions, there was no clan war after all. Even when Yishuan slaughtered the two clans' younger generation experts, the Gui Yuan sect and the two clans did not fight. The real reason was that the two clans were afraid of each other and did not dare to go to war with each other. Perhaps it wasn't difficult to defeat a force, but it was impossible to completely destroy it. How could they not know that they would be bitten by a snake if they failed to completely destroy the force? But no matter what they thought, this army of millions of Tau soldiers still marched to the Vanishing Shadow Poisonous Crocodile Clan's lair. It was not just the ordinary Sea Clans that were panicking. Even the Sky-Splitting Whale Clan was shocked at this time. The flourished Cloud Sea region had maintained a balance for so many years. To a large extent, it was the balance between the six overlords. Although the Sea Clan was strong and the human race was weak, it was still balanced in general. However, once this human's Tau Legion annihilated any one of the three Sea Clan overlords, it would cause the balance to be unbalanced. The Sky-Splitting Whale Clan's upper echelon suddenly became nervous. If this happened, they would never stand idly by. After all, they also belonged to the Sea Clan. However, it was clear that they did not estimate the situation of this battle. In their opinion, even if there was a battle between overlords, it would not be a big deal. For a battle of this level, it would be impossible to determine the victor without a very long time. In fact, it might even last for hundreds of years, or even thousands of years. They were not in a hurry. They would wait until they received accurate information before making their move. By then, no matter which side they joined, it would be more than enough. It was just that they simply misjudged the situation of this battle. There was no such thing as a long-term war of resistance at all. In the front of the Tao Legion, the Ge Yuan sect master took the lead and rushed to the front of the team. In the distance, there was the Sea Dragon Mansion Master and the Light Cave Master. These were the top experts of the three human overlords. Behind him, however, was not the group of elders or the powerful Grand Elders. Instead, it was Pei Xingqian. Pei Xingqian, who had already entered the Transcendence Realm, was almost confirmed by everyone to be the next sect master of the Ge Yuan sect. The other disciples who were originally his opponents had also been eliminated after he successfully entered the Transcendence Realm. The two sides could not be compared at all. Among them, there were a few shocking geniuses of the Ge Yuan sect from hundreds or even thousands of years ago. However, after their shocking early stage, they were still lingering at the peak of the late stage of the half-step Transcendence Realm. They had not been able to pass the heavenly tribulation. Even for a genius, passing the Transcendence Realm heavenly tribulation was like a nightmare. If there were no accidents, Pei Xingqian would only be one of the candidates. After him, the Ge Yuan sect would nurture a few more outstanding talents of the younger generation. Then, out of these 10 people, one would be chosen to become the Ge Yuan sect leader. At that time, even the oldest among them would only be 2,000 or 3,000 years old. Compared to their lifespans of over 10,000 years, they would still be at the peak of their glory and would be able to lead the Ge Yuan sect for another 1,000 years. However, this time, Pei Xingqian was considered an accident. He actually entered the Transcendence Realm first. This time, the competition for the sect master almost lost all suspense. As long as Pei Xingqian did not fall, the next sect master would be him. Even the Ge Yuan sect master had already thought about it. As long as this matter was resolved and the two overlords were eliminated in one go, then the next position would be passed to Pei Xingqian. In the queue, Pei Xingqian's position was second only to the Ge Yuan sect master. Heaven's might, I feel the heaven's might ahead? Someone is undergoing heaven's tribulation, said the Ge Yuan sect master with a frown. Seeing that they were about to reach the vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan's ancestral land, he actually felt someone undergoing heaven's tribulation. Chapter 1154. Not only the people of Ge Yuan sect felt it, but even the experts of Sea Dragon Mansion and Light Cave also felt it. No one knew what benefits the sect master of Ge Yuan sect had given them. He actually managed to convince these two overlords and gather such a huge Tao soldier alliance in such a short period of time. Although these Tao soldiers were in a state of leading troops almost all the time, it wasn't a simple matter for them to gather in such a short period of time. Yi Xuan, I hope you don't let us down. Ge Yuan sect master narrowed his eyes and said. This time, in order to persuade the experts of Sea Dragon Mansion and Light Cave to join forces, he paid a high price. The only reason was because he believed in Yi Xuan. In other words, he believed that his vision would not be wrong. A person who could dominate the flourished Cloud Sea region was by no means a person who spoke without thinking. At the same time, he also believed in Pei Xingqian's vision. This was a gamble, a big gamble. They were betting on whether Yi Xuan could do what he said and cripple the two clans. If they went, were they really going to clean up the mess? The Tao Soldier Legion was equipped with flying martial instruments, so they flew very fast. After a while, they had already reached the range of Heaven's Wrath. At this time, more people judged that Heaven's Wrath was left here after someone transcended the tribulation. This place was actually the vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan's ancestral land. Who dared to transcend the tribulation in this place? Wasn't it courting death? However, when they really arrived at the vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan's ancestral land, they were still deeply shocked by the scene. Originally, they thought it might be an unusually fierce battle. After all, the entire vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan was one of the overlords of the flourished Cloud Sea region. Their ancestral land must be the most heavily guarded place. Even the hundreds of thousands of clan soldiers were stationed here for a long time. But they did not expect that no one would stop them until they rushed to the vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan's ancestral land. Above that sea region, it was more than a mess. It was like an azure hell. Countless corpses floated on the sea. Judging from their costumes, they were actually the vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan's clan soldier legion. Most importantly, the densely packed corpses made a rough calculation. The hundreds of thousands of vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan's clansmen legion were buried in the sea. These corpses covered the entire sea. Moreover, there was a burning smell. Every corpse seemed to have been burnt, giving off an unpleasant burning smell. However, within a radius of 10,000 miles, not a single Yao beast in the sea dared to approach. The heavenly might in the vicinity was simply too strong. Even though a large amount of blood had dyed the entire ocean red, not a single Yao beast in the sea dared to approach. These sea beasts were more direct in their fear of the heavens, and they understood how terrifying the heavens were. Almost all of them acted according to their instincts, and they were restricted by their instincts, not daring to approach and stay away from danger. Unlike those intelligent creatures, even if they felt a terrifying threat, they usually wouldn't retreat. All the human clan experts could not help but take a deep breath when they saw this scene. He couldn't help but feel a chill down his spine. For the 6 overlords, they had 2 trump cards. One was the higher-ups of the Law Phase realm and the other was the clan soldier army. The clan soldier army was even more threatening to a force. It was also their biggest trump card. Generally, they would not be mobilized easily unless it was a critical moment. It was the same logic as the saying, "Once the troops are deployed, they must be nurtured for 1,000 days." The Sea Clan's clan soldier was actually similar to the human clan's Tau soldiers. They had the same nature, but the name was different. However, when they saw countless clan soldier corpses lying on the sea, they were completely frightened. There was a chill on their backs. For these higher-ups, their greatest reliance was the Tau soldier army. If it was a battle between 2 forces, it would be fine. If the 2 forces were in a frenzy, it wouldn't be strange even if they suffered double the losses. However, if it was caused by an individual, then it would be really terrifying. Because when a person had the strength to destroy an entire force, that person would become a bug, an existence that destroyed the balance. For such an existence, many people's first thought was to strangle him in the cradle. However, they only remembered at this time that this person had grown to a level that they could not contain. Maybe they would end up like the vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan if they provoked him. The higher-ups of the 3 overlords were aware of the promise that Yishiwen had made before he left. As long as they cleaned up the mess, everything would be fine. Since Yishiwen had said so, and now such a thing had happened, they were almost certain that this was Yishiwen's doing. If it wasn't Yishiwen who did it, they really couldn't think of anyone else who had such an ability. Perhaps only the mysterious Yishiwen could do it. How did he do it? A Gui Yuan Sixth Law Manifestation Realm Supreme Elder saw this scene and suddenly felt a chill on his back. Fortunately, we didn't offend him. Otherwise, I'm afraid it will be our turn now. He used Heaven's Retribution. He used Heaven's Retribution to kill all these clan soldier legions. Pei Xingchen made a big guess. Looking at the corpses of the clan soldier legions, there were many residual electrons. In his opinion, this guess was the best possibility. But when he said so, everyone felt even more cold sweat. They couldn't imagine what kind of Heaven's Retribution could annihilate all these clan soldier legions here. There were even many law manifestation realm experts among them. Yet they couldn't escape death. Ordinary Heaven's Retribution, even the Heaven's Retribution of the law manifestation realm, could not reach such a terrifying power. He is destined to be extraordinary. Gui Yuansek's sect master suddenly shook his head and said with a smile, "Initially, we were worried that such a character staying in our flourished Cloud Sea region would disrupt the balance. It would be a big trouble for us. Now, it seems that we overestimated ourselves. A dragon cannot be bred in shallow waters. How can a golden scale stay in a small pond? He will transform into a dragon once he encounters a storm. This flourished Cloud Sea region is too small to accommodate such a monster. He will leave sooner or later. What are we worried about? He knew very well that heaven's retribution also varied from person to person. The more monstrous a person was, the more terrifying heaven's retribution would be. Some clues could be seen from the power of heaven's retribution. Yishuan could use heaven's retribution to destroy the vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan's final resistance. It was already evident that his heaven's retribution was incredibly strong. Such a monster was by no means an ordinary person. It was impossible for such a character to stay in the flourished Cloud Sea region forever. At this time, everyone's eyes penetrated the layers of corpses and seawater, looking at the bottom of the sea. It was also a sure hell. It was not much better than the sea surface. Broken roots could be seen everywhere. Countless arrays had been damaged. Under the attack of heaven's retribution, these arrays could not withstand it in the end. All of them were destroyed. Among them, some surviving vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan experts were wailing, lamenting the disaster brought by the demon named Yishuan to their clan. However, it was clear that they had forgotten that they had done this countless times in the past. It was unknown how many clans and sects had been exterminated by them. Countless orphans and widows had screamed in the same way. "I didn't expect that we can only clean up the mess when we come here," Ge Yuansek's sect master said with a bitter smile, but he immediately cheered up. Judging from the scene, Yishuan did not have time to clean up the battlefield. He hurried to the poisonous flaming dragon clan's ancestral land. In other words, there would be massive wealth in it. The vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan had been established in this sea region for countless years. As an overlord for so many years, they had plundered a lot of wealth. They could estimate the wealth in their clan's treasury. Thinking of this, many high-level officials began to breathe faster. This was a fortune that made everyone jealous. Not only Ge Yuan sect, but even the people of Sea Dragon Mansion and Light Cave also began to breathe faster. However, after a final discussion between the three forces, they decided to leave 100,000 people behind to clean up the mess. The loot would be divided equally among the three forces. Of course, they would also leave a portion for Yishuan. Moreover, the amount was quite large. Not only because they had picked up a big bargain with Yishuan, but more importantly, Yishuan's strength had made them afraid. So, they didn't dare to covet his portion. Although Yishuan did not say anything, he would get the biggest share according to the convention. The rest of the people rushed to the poisonous flaming dragon clan's ancestral land non-stop. With the vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan as a lesson, everyone was no longer optimistic about the poisonous flaming dragon clan. They had no doubt that Yishuan could sweep the poisonous flaming dragon clan. They rushed there now to clean up the mess and divide the poisonous flaming dragon clan's wealth. The poisonous flaming dragon clan was stronger than the vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan. Its wealth was even more enviable. When they rushed to the poisonous flaming dragon clan's ancestral land, the sky above the ancestral land was completely shrouded in heaven's retribution. Yishuan's retribution had not ended yet. On the contrary, it had just entered the most intense stage. When they saw Yishuan's heaven's retribution, they all took a deep breath. They were almost scared silly. In contrast, the situation of the sea full of corpses above the vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan's ancestral land did not attract their attention. Chapter 1155. They saw Yishuan being besieged by a group of mythological beasts. Each of these mythological beasts was a famous and ferocious creature. Dragons, phoenixes, chilants, bays, bifong, and so on. There were also many ancient ferocious beasts whose names they could not recognize. These ferocious beasts were made of lightning. Their bodies were sparkling with electricity. Each of them exuded an unimaginable ferocity. Although they were not living creatures, they were more terrifying than living creatures. This was because these ferocious beasts were instilled with combat intuition. In other words, they only had combat awareness. In other words, they were simply a group of fighting machines. Moreover, they were mainly made up of ancient ferocious beasts. This scene was enough to shock them. If it were any of them, even the sect master of the Guiyuan sect would not be able to guarantee that he would be able to deal with any one of these ferocious beasts. However, Yishuan did not show any weakness under the attacks of these ferocious beasts. Roar! An electric dragon roared and soared into the sky. Its claw directly grabbed towards Yishuan, causing the void in the sky to explode. This was the real dragon claw. The imitation of the dragon claw in human martial arts was so ridiculous in front of the real dragon claw. It did not look like the real dragon claw at all. This claw could directly crush a mountain into powder. This was an indescribably frightening scene. The might of that lightning dragon's claw could even shatter the heavens and the earth with a single claw strike without a problem. At this time, Yishuan, who was opposite him, had countless wounds of various sizes on his body. Some of the scratches were so obvious that even his bones could be seen. However, the wounds were quickly healing at a speed visible to the naked eye. Even though Yishuan was covered in injuries, he did not show the slightest intention of showing weakness. The blood in his body was constantly boiling and roaring, as if it was ready to make a move. His tyrant body was originally forged to contend against these creatures with innately tyrannical bodies. How could he retreat at this time? This was a battle between Hotian and Xiantian. Although there was more than one of these ferocious creatures, he didn't have the slightest intention of retreating. Countless amounts of star power condensed in his hand, forming a huge sphere in his hand. Then, he punched out fiercely. Boom! A fist and a claw collided fiercely in midair. A frightening brilliance swept out in all directions like a tidal wave. The electric light mixed with the power of the stars fluctuated wildly. The lightning dragon was sent flying far away in an instant, and its entire arm was blasted away by Yishuan. This lightning dragon didn't have a physical body even if it was tyrannical. Therefore, the fact that the lightning energy could be condensed to such a degree was already beyond his expectations. He knew that his body was very powerful. This was his fundamental way of cultivation. It didn't matter what kind of martial arts he practiced. It was based on the tyrannical strength of the tyrant body. It was comparable to the gods and devils. He didn't care about demon beasts, sea beasts, devil races, divine weapons and tools. However, although that arm had been blown up by Yishuan's punch, countless energy was still frantically condensing in his body, and recovering little by little. These creatures didn't have a physical body. However, not having a physical body also had its advantages. Otherwise, it wouldn't be easy for them to recover after getting their arms blown off by Yishuan's punch. However, before he could continue to chase, the other tyrannical creatures had already rushed over. He immediately threw himself into the battle with the other lightning creatures. This scene had lasted for more than half a day. Every time, he could only cripple them, but there was no way to kill them. Because the other berserk beasts would not let go of such an opportunity, the battle was delayed. Otherwise, none of these berserk beasts would be a match for him. If they appeared one by one, the battle would have ended long ago. However, Heaven's retribution obviously wouldn't let Yishuan off so easily. The battle was still ongoing. Even with a tyrannical tyrant body like Yishuan, he was injured many times. He couldn't guarantee that he wouldn't be injured. The Tau legions of the three overlord forces in the distance could only stay outside Heaven's retribution and didn't dare to enter. This kind of heavenly tribulation had completely frightened them. They had never seen such a terrifying heavenly tribulation before. What kind of heavenly tribulation could annihilate an overlord clan? What was even more terrifying was that there were actually ancient divine beasts. These ancient divine beasts that were condensed from the heavenly tribulation, even if they couldn't be compared to real divine beasts, they shouldn't be too far off. This kind of battle was not something they could intervene in. Moreover, the tragic end of the vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan and poisonous flaming dragon clan was placed in front of them. How could they not learn their lesson? Hence, millions of people could only watch Yishuan's retribution. In Yishuan's body, tyrant body scripture was also running frantically. The remaining elixir power of the 9 orifices divine elixir began to spread wildly to his limbs and bones. Majestic power surged in his body. Every time he suffered a blow, the elixir power would melt a little, and his strength would improve a little. This was a very direct improvement. He was getting stronger little by little. His tyrant body had entered the 9th level for a long time, but he had not been able to advance to the 10th level. It seemed to have encountered peace. But now, with the tempering of these heavens' retribution and the elixir power of the 9 orifices divine elixir, it was improving little by little. As time went on, there were fewer wounds on his body. Although there was no essential difference, it could definitely be regarded as a quantitative change. So strong! This guy is really abnormal. No wonder we can't beat him no matter what. Pei Xingqian looked at Yishiwen's figure in the retribution transcendence like the resurrection of an ancient overlord, and couldn't help but murmur. Although he knew that Yishiwen was strong, he was far from being Yishiwen's opponent. Yishiwen had even beheaded a large number of vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan and poisonous flaming dragon clan, but it was just hearsay. He had not seen it with his own eyes. Now that he had seen the situation when he was undergoing the heavenly tribulation, he finally understood what it meant to be terrifying, and what it meant to be a monster. His tribulation was already much more powerful than an ordinary person's. However, it paled in comparison to Yishiwen's tribulation. Any one of these lightning beasts could easily kill him. If his tribulation had been 1/10 as strong as this, he would have died without a doubt. Yishiwen's strength didn't come out of thin air. Just from the heavenly tribulation that he had crossed, it could be seen that he had experienced twists and turns before he could possess such strength. Yishiwen seemed to have fallen into a completely unconscious state in the midst of heavenly tribulation, allowing his body's instincts to control his actions, but even so, each and every one of his moves still contained great power. A casual punch from him could pierce through the sky, and every move he made contained the principles of the martial way. You can't go on like this anymore. If you go on like this, I'm afraid you will be exhausted to death before these heavenly tribulations dissipate, Yemo reminded. Yishiwen nodded and didn't say anything. However, the domain of wind and thunder power also expanded around his body. The speed of those lightning ominous beasts suddenly slowed down in his domain. They were still very fast, but they couldn't be compared with their peak speed. For ordinary people, it might not reduce much, but for Yishiwen, it was enough. His body moved in an instant. In an instant, he turned into a golden light and rushed to the front of the divine phoenix. Although it was composed of lightning, every feather was vivid and lifelike, glowing with brilliant colors. At this time, seeing Yishiwen rushing over, it immediately opened its mouth, and a flame mixed with lightning blasted toward Yishiwen. A sword light in Yishiwen's hand directly split the flame. In the blink of an eye, he was already in front of the lightning phoenix, and his sword directly slashed down. Yishiwen hesitated for a moment, then unleashed his domain. The speed of this lightning phoenix slowed down. It could have dodged this attack, but it couldn't. Yishiwen's sword immediately cut off one of its wings into two. After a long battle, Yishiwen discovered that these lightning beasts might be very powerful. Whether it was speed, strength, physique, or magical power, they were far above ordinary law manifestation realm masters. However, they all had a huge flaw, which was that they lacked the domain that a law manifestation realm expert could possess. Although Yishiwen hadn't entered the law manifestation realm and couldn't transform the false domain into a domain, it was more than enough to restrain these lightning beasts that didn't even have a domain. It was enough to deal with these beasts. Although he did not expect to kill them with his domain, it was still enough to delay their actions. The lightning phoenix instinctively wanted to escape and buy time to recover, but how could Yishiwen let it do as it wished? He immediately took a step forward and chased after it. Clang! The sword condensed from the sword intent in his hand bloomed with unimaginable light. The sword intent was monstrous, and countless sword auras began to boil. Then, the sword light flickered, and a huge sword light burst out, piercing the huge body of the lightning phoenix. Boom! The sword aura blasted into the body of the lightning phoenix. The lightning phoenix had no time to dodge, or rather, its speed was limited. It could not keep up with Yishuin's speed at all, so it could only suffer this critical blow. These lightning divine beasts were composed of lightning, and their speed was extremely fast. Even if Yishuin fully unfolded the speed of the Tempest Wings, he was only a little faster than them. However, as they fell into the domain of Yishuin's Tempest power, their speed was greatly limited. For ordinary people, it might not be much slower, but for him, it was enough. Chapter 1156. This series of attacks was fast and ruthless. Yishuin, who had rich combat experience, had already determined what to do in an instant. The other divine lightning beasts wanted to help, but it was too late. This lightning phoenix was blown up in the air by Yishuin and turned into lightning all over the sky. This was because its entire body had been blown up. It was impossible to continue to restore to its original state. The remaining lightning energy in the sky was also captured by Yishuin and absorbed into his body to temper his tyrant body. Swish! Yishuin disappeared again. When he reappeared, he was already in front of the divine lightning dragon. When the divine lightning dragon saw Yishuin rushing over, it immediately roared angrily. It directly swung its tail. The huge tail was like a mountain, and it whipped towards Yishuin. It was really terrifying. Yishuin raised his left hand and slapped the sky full of golden light to meet the divine lightning dragon's tail. Boom! It was another terrifying collision. The divine lightning dragon's tail was immediately dented by Yishuin's slap. Clang! Then, there was another loud clanging sound. A terrifying sword intention directly crossed the vast sky. The sword intention instantly penetrated the head of the divine lightning dragon. Boom! The divine dragon's head was almost about to explode. If it was a normal creature, even if it was a dragon, it would be dead if its head was pierced through. However, this was a lightning divine dragon. It did not have a life of its own. It was only because the heavenly Tao had bestowed it with battle consciousness that it could fight. While its entire body was penetrated by Yishuin's sword, its huge front claws, which were almost bigger than Yishuin's, still grabbed towards Yishuin at lightning speed. It wanted to scratch Yishuin to death. Explode! Yishuin shouted, and the sword condensed from the sword will in his hand completely exploded on the spot. The entire body of the lightning divine dragon, who was about to counterattack, suddenly exploded with a loud bang. Countless sword auras directly strangled the imprints of the way of heaven in his body, and his body directly turned into countless lightning bolts. At this moment, the other lightning divine beasts finally arrived. All of this took a long time to describe, but it actually happened in a flash. In the eyes of the Tao soldiers who were watching the battle from afar, Yishuin was like a human-shaped Tyrannosaurus. Wherever he went, the lightning divine beasts would explode on the spot. Yishuin's speed was so fast that they couldn't see him at all. At this moment, only the law manifestation experts could barely see some traces. Only the experts at the level of the Guiyuan sect master could see what was happening. They couldn't help but feel a chill in their hearts. Although they could clearly see what was happening, if they were in their place, they probably wouldn't be able to react at all. Those lightning divine beasts couldn't avoid Yishuin's attack at all. Yishuin's speed was originally faster than them, not to mention that their speed was hindered by the power of wind and thunder. They couldn't keep up with Yishuin's speed at all. They could only watch helplessly as their companions were killed by Yishuin. Although they had no consciousness, and it was impossible for them to be sad, they were also endowed with outstanding combat talents. Because of this, they chose to rescue their companions because if this continued, they would definitely be defeated by Yishuin one by one. These lightning divine beasts had a lot of combat talents and combat experience, so they could almost make such a judgment in an instant. However, even if they could make such a judgment, they couldn't keep up with Yishuin's speed. Now, Yishuin's speed was much faster than theirs. Most importantly, Yishuin's attack speed was too fast, and he defeated them too quickly. Their companions couldn't wait for their rescue at all. They could only watch helplessly as Yishuin defeated them. There was nothing special about Yi Shiwen's attack speed. It could be described as fast, accurate, and ruthless. He was able to defeat these lightning mythological beasts by relying on these 3 words. This was like a competition between the qualities of both sides. Yi Shiwen was only slightly faster than them. However, the huge disparity that was accumulated little by little like this had caused them to be utterly defeated. Yi Shiwen's lightning mythological beasts had been defeated. Originally, they weren't Yi Shiwen's opponent. However, every time Yi Shiwen severely injured one of them, he would attract a group of divine beasts to besiege him. There was no way to continue. These lightning divine beasts didn't have a physical body at all. It didn't matter if they were injured. As long as they weren't killed on the spot, it didn't matter at all. So, after fighting for half a day, these divine beasts didn't actually weaken much. Yi Shiwen was also very clear that it was better to cut off 1 finger than to injure 10 fingers. Now that he finally found an opportunity, how could he not make a move quickly? Boom! 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 Every time Yi Shiwen's figure flickered and reappeared, he would blast a lightning mythological beast to pieces. It was extremely thrilling every time. Those lightning mythological beasts would have besieged him every time. However, Yi Shiwen would always escape. Even if these lightning divine beasts rushed up and besieged Yi Shiwen didn't care at all. However, Yi Shiwen was afraid that they would interrupt his rhythm, causing him to return to the state where he could only injure but not kill him. As more and more lightning divine beasts were killed by Yi Shiwen on the spot and absorbed into Yi Shiwen's power, the contrast of strength between both sides became more and more unbalanced. Those lightning divine beasts gradually became less and less of a threat to Yi Shiwen. Their speed couldn't catch up with Yi Shiwen's speed at all, let alone being a threat. Boom! 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 Lightning divine beasts were continuously killed by him. They weren't Yi Shiwen's opponent at all. Boom! Finally, as the last Bai was killed by Yi Shiwen, the heaven's retribution finally showed signs of passing. The clouds in the sky also began to reduce slowly. Yi Shiwen's aura finally began to soar crazily without any hindrance. Half-step law phase late peak. Initial law phase realm. Yi Shiwen stepped into the law phase realm in one fell swoop, but his aura did not stop. It was still rising. The medicinal power of the 9 orifices divine elixir in his body was constantly melting in his body. Previously, when Yi Shiwen was only a half-step law phase realm, he couldn't completely digest the medicinal power of the 9 orifices divine elixir. In other words, he digested the medicinal power of the 9 orifices divine elixir very slowly. But now, he had stepped into the law phase realm in one fell swoop. Compared to before, his strength was many times stronger. It could even be said that the current Yi Shiwen could kill 10 of him with one punch. The difference in strength was that big. Originally, he could only digest the 9 orifices divine elixir slowly and even use external attacks to digest it. But now, the situation was completely different. He could even quickly absorb the medicinal power of the 9 orifices divine elixir just by circulating the observing person scripture. His strength was still rising until he reached the peak of the first level of the law phase realm before it stopped. He opened his eyes and clenched his fists. The feeling of power boiling in his body was too good. Half-step law phase realm was not the law phase realm after all. Yi Shiwen only took one step forward, but he felt that his strength had increased by dozens of times. To be honest, unless he encountered an expert like Yi Shiwen who was dozens of times stronger than ordinary experts of the same level, otherwise, under normal circumstances, a law phase realm expert was enough to completely crush a half-step law phase realm expert. Even the previous Yi Shiwen had absolutely no chance of winning against the current Yi Shiwen who had stepped into the law phase realm. The Tao Soldier Legion who was watching the battle in the distance only dared to approach Yi Shiwen at this time. Although Heaven's retribution had almost dissipated and everyone knew that Yi Shiwen had passed Heaven's retribution, no one dared to disturb Yi Shiwen when they saw that he seemed to be constantly improving. After all, this was a terrifying demon who destroyed 2 major clans single-handedly. Yes, this was the image in their hearts. Their million Tau soldier legion was dispatched collectively, but it was only to clean up the mess. In fact, the real main force was destroyed in Yishiwen's hands. Their clan soldier legion was all eradicated by Yishiwen with the power of heaven's retribution, and all their law phase realm experts died in Yishiwen's hands. To be honest, the two clans were really destroyed in Yishiwen's hands. For this guy who could destroy an overlord with his strength, it was not an exaggeration to describe him as a demon. Moreover, that was before he transcended the retribution. He was already so terrifying before transcending the retribution. Now that he had passed heaven's retribution, it was hard to imagine what kind of level he would reach. Yishiwen glanced at the million Tau soldier legion of the three overlord forces and grinned. "You are finally here!" The news of the destruction of the two overlords finally spread. The entire flourished Cloud Sea region was silent. Everyone was dumbfounded on the spot. It was simply unbelievable. Or perhaps their brains crashed? Did they hear it wrong? It wasn't the destruction of two first-class forces? In the flourished Cloud Sea region, although it was still peaceful, and the human clan and sea clan could still barely maintain a balance, they would not be too surprised if a first-class force was destroyed. But this overlord. The two overlords were destroyed? How is this possible? It must be a joke. This is simply impossible. In fact, in the flourished Cloud Sea region, since the beginning of historical records, the three overlords of the Sea clan had already existed. The three overlords of the human clan still moved in one by one during the years. No matter how big the storm was, the overlord forces had never been destroyed. They must have heard it wrong. Chapter 1157. Yes, they must have heard it wrong. How could it be that the overlord-level forces were destroyed? Moreover, it was two overlord-level forces that were destroyed in one go. Even if the human clan and the sea clan were to start a war, it would take at least a few decades to completely destroy an overlord force. How huge was an overlord force? It could be said that it was deeply rooted. It would take a lot of time just to clean up one stronghold by one. Not to mention that the ancestral land of the two clans was an extremely dangerous place. It was precisely because of this that no one believed that even if a large number of masters of the two clans died in the hands of Yishiwen, they still had a more powerful clan soldier army. As long as there was this clan soldier army, they would be as stable as Mount Tai. So when they heard this news, no one believed it at all. Even if the other overlords of the human clan were to take action, and everyone had seen the Tau soldiers being dispatched, it would still take 3 to 5 years for them to arrive. Who knew that it was so easy and simple to be destroyed? Everyone was stunned. At this time, some more detailed news also came out. It was rumored that Yishiwen used the power of heaven's retribution to completely destroy the clan soldier army, and he personally slaughtered those law manifestation masters, causing the two clans to lose their biggest reliance. In this case, the Tau soldier army of the human overlords who arrived later only took on the task of cleaning up the mess. This completely subverted everyone's imagination. Originally, in everyone's opinion, it should be possible for the three human overlords to be the main force to attack the ancestral land of the two clans. However, they did not expect that it was completely destroyed by Yishiwen alone. This is not scientific. How terrifying is the heaven's retribution to have such terrifying power that it completely destroyed the two clans. Then, more news of Yishiwen's heaven's retribution was leaked out. Deities descended to the mortal world, celestial soldiers and generals went on a punitive expedition, and divine beasts were resurrected from ancient times. In short, Yishiwen's heaven's retribution was described in various versions. It was almost like a scene of a person becoming a deity. However, no matter what kind of version it was, without exception, Yishiwen was extraordinary. In the rumors, he had almost become a legendary god. In the eyes of many people, there was no difference between him and the gods. The legendary gods could destroy these overlord forces, and Yishiwen could also do the same. Although Yishuin was certainly not as good as the legendary gods, but it didn't make any difference to them. A terrifying figure was born in the flourished Cloud Sea region. But this was not the most important thing. The most important thing was that the balance of the entire flourished Cloud Sea region was about to be destroyed. The situation where the Sea clan was superior to many human clans in the past had undergone a fundamental change. Many human experts were elated. Now, the comparison of power between the two sides changed from the original evenly matched to the absolute upper hand of the human clan. After all, the Sea clan overlord was only sky-splitting whale, while the human clan had 3 overlords. Unlike what many people imagined, the human clan did not suffer heavy losses when attacking the 2 overlords' ancestral lands. It could even be said that they harvested countless wealth. Even if the 2 clans' wealth was divided into 4 parts, it was still an astronomical amount of wealth. Even the 3 overlords could not fully digest it. It would take 100 years to digest this astronomical wealth. However, after 100 years, any human overlord force would surpass the sky-splitting whale clan. After all, they really divided the wealth of the vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan and poisonous flaming dragon clan. Their power would show a skyrocketing situation in the future. After being plundered by the 3 overlords, countless sea clans and human clans came after hearing the news. The ancestral lands of the vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan and poisonous flaming dragon clan were searched thoroughly. They actually found a lot of wealth left out by the 3 overlords. They also made a decent fortune. Furthermore, compared to the 3 overlords, they were the ones who were truly cruel in their methods. They had massacred the entire clan. Most of the surviving members of the 2 clans had died in the hands of these overlords. The 3 overlord clans were extremely powerful. They were not afraid of the revenge of the 2 clans after they grew up. However, they were afraid. After all, no one knew how deep the foundations of the 2 overlord clans were. If they were to really let them breathe a sigh of relief and recover, they would become a huge threat to the 3 overlords. They did not have such a deep foundation to deal with such a threat. So, the best way was to strangle the danger in the cradle before it happened. Compared to the 3 human overlords, these forces were the most ferocious and dangerous existences. By the time the sky-splitting whale clan, which was also one of the 3 overlords of the sea race, received the news, it was already too late. Everything had already happened. The 2 clans had been exterminated, and the 3 overlords of the human race could be said to have returned from a rewarding journey. They hadn't even paid a decent price. All they had done was clean up the mess, and they had already reaped such a great harvest. It could be said that the sky-splitting whale clan was filled with envy, jealousy, and hatred. However, there was nothing they could do. Who asked them to react so slowly? By the time they reacted, it was already too late. Even the ancestral lands of the 2 clans had been plundered by various first-rate forces and second-rate forces. They did not get any benefits at all. The original idea of benefiting from the conflict seemed even more ridiculous now. Originally, they wanted to wait for the 3 human overlords to start a war with the vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan and the poisonous flaming dragon clan. In the end, both sides suffered losses. In the end, they could reap the benefits. After all, the 2 clans still had a remarkable foundation. The sky-splitting whale clan, which ranked in the same position as the 3 overlords, knew the foundation of the 2 clans very well. Everyone knew that no matter how deep the foundation was, it was useless after encountering a freak like Ishiwen. Who knew they did not get any benefits. The lose-lose situation they expected did not happen at all. It was conceivable that the Sea clan was now at a complete disadvantage. When the 3 human overlords digested the amazing wealth obtained from the poisonous flaming dragon clan and the vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan, their lives would be more difficult. They might even be completely driven out of the flourished Cloud Sea region. It was very likely that the flourished Cloud Sea region would become the human clan's territory. In the next month, the entire flourished Cloud Sea region was in chaos. Everyone was constantly inquiring about the inside story of these matters, especially the vassal forces under the two clans. At this time, seeing that the two clans were destroyed, the matter was a foregone conclusion. There was no other way. They could only start looking for new backers at this time. Some chose the sky-splitting whale clan, while others chose the human overlords. For them, at this time, race was not important at all. Anyway, no matter how strong the human clan was, could they expand their forces under the sea? After all, the human clan still had to live on the island. In a sense, they could still coexist peacefully. During this month, the three human overlords were also busy digesting the countless wealth obtained this time. Even after it was divided into 4 parts, it was still an astronomical amount of wealth. Sure enough, as the old people said, a horse would not get fat without grass at night. A man would not get rich without a windfall. It was a pity that there might not be a chance to encounter such a windfall in the future. In fact, the Sea Clan overlord only had the sky-splitting whale clan left. It was impossible to swallow them up too. Although they wanted to, they knew very well that it was indeed just wishful thinking. During this month, the protagonist of this incident, Yishiwen, the focus of everyone's eyes, seemed to have disappeared. He no longer appeared in front of everyone. Even the people in the Guiyuan sect had no way to see Yishiwen. Only a few Guiyuan sect higher-ups knew that Yishiwen, who had not been seen for more than a month, was in close cultivation in the different space in the depths of the Guiyuan sect. Boom! In the depths of the Guiyuan sect, a blood-colored beam of light shot up into the sky. However, it immediately disappeared as if it had never appeared. Seeing this blood-colored beam of light, many tyrannical gazes from the depths of the Guiyuan sect swept over it. However, when they saw this place, they all looked away. This person could not be provoked. In a secret space, Yishiwen stood with his hands behind his back. In one of his hands, the heart of the bloody realm was quietly floating above his palm. I did not expect this heart of the bloody realm to be so difficult to refine. I have refined it for a whole month, but I have only refined a small part of its functions. I have only obtained the right to enter and exit the bloody realm freely. Yishiwen looked at the heart of the bloody realm in front of him with a depressed expression. For more than a month, his main focus was on refining the heart of the bloody realm. As Qingchushan said, the heart of the bloody realm was the foundation and key to controlling the entire bloody realm. If he could completely refine the heart of the bloody realm, then he could truly become the master of the bloody realm and truly command the entire bloody realm. Since his strength had reached the peak of the Transcendence Realm First Heaven, it was impossible for him to make any further progress in a short period of time. That was why he had put most of his energy into refining the heart of the blood realm. Who would have thought that after more than a month, he would only make such little progress? This is normal. After all, it is the control core of a world. With your strength, it is not so easy to refine it. Yemo was not surprised and said, however, it is time to leave now. This flourished cloud sea region can no longer accommodate you. Chapter 1158. However, it's time to leave now. This flourished cloud sea region can no longer accommodate you. Yemo's words made Yishiwen pause slightly. Indeed, the reason why he came to the flourished cloud sea region before was largely because he was chased by the North Mountain clan chief. Moreover, the flourished cloud sea region was too small to accommodate him. In the eyes of the entire flourished cloud sea region, he had probably become a bug-like monster in the eyes of others. Even if he stayed, there was not much room for him to continue to grow. It was time to leave. Now the entire flourished cloud sea region was also in a mess. The original balance was completely destroyed because of Yishiwen. Now that a new balance was being created, Yishiwen was too lazy to care about it. Yishiwen had also obtained the largest share in the division of wealth between the two clans this time. He had obtained tens of billions of spirit crystals. Moreover, he had obtained countless other treasures. This time, Yishiwen did not need to worry about not having enough spirit crystals for a long time. If this news were to spread, it was unknown how many people would be frightened. For many people, tens of billions of spirit crystals, even if they were prodigal, would not be used up in this lifetime. Only something like Yishuin's mysterious space, which was like a monster that devoured spiritual energy, would consume so much. Moreover, the growth of the enlightening mind ancient tree required the support of a massive amount of spirit energy at all times. Yishuin didn't do anything. But he would need to consume more than 100 million spirit crystals every year just to maintain the enlightening mind ancient tree's normal needs. Moreover, the spirit crystals required would also increase exponentially with the continuous growth of the enlightening mind ancient tree. It was like a bottomless pit, constantly absorbing his spirit crystals. Moreover, his own cultivation was inseparable from the support of a massive amount of spirit crystals. However, this unexpected windfall also solved a lot of his troubles. "It's time to go." Yishuin glanced at the sky, sighed, and said, "Besides, I still have a score to settle." Yishuin left silently. Except for leaving a message to explain that he was leaving, he did not leave anything behind. Seeing this, the entire Origin returning sect heaved a sigh of relief. However, at the same time, they also felt a sense of loss. The reason why they were relieved was because they were very afraid of Yishuin's strength. But at the same time, because they knew Yishuin's strength, they hoped that he could stay. At least, he could deter a lot of people. Some people were happy about the departure of Yishuin, the demon god, but some people were sad. In addition to the Guiyuan sect, Yishuin also left a message for his only friends in the flourished Cloud Sea region, Pei Xingqian, Jian Wushuang, Bai Hanmo, Yao Qian, and others. Yi Qianqian had already left when Yishuin had come out of the blood world. According to the information relayed by the Guiyuan sect, she had returned to her home. She had been captured for all these years, and her martial power had been sealed. She didn't want to stay outside for a moment longer. Above the boundless sea, there was no end in sight. A golden figure swept across the surface of the sea at an extremely fast speed. It was like a knife, cutting countless waves on the surface of the sea. Countless sea beasts in the sea didn't even have time to react. The golden figure had already disappeared in front of them. The endless sea breeze was like a strong wind under the effect of Yishuin's speed, and was constantly blowing against his face. His clothes were fluttering, and his expression was abnormally solemn. For him, this boundless sea region was an extremely dangerous place when he came. He didn't even have the confidence to cross it. But now, these sea beasts couldn't pose any threat to him at all. In addition, his speed was many times faster than before. Soon, it was possible to cross the boundless sea region to the ancient Baron's continent. "North Mountain Ling, don't die!" Yishuin narrowed his eyes. The murderous intent in his eyes burst out, and he almost couldn't suppress it. Even though a long time had passed, he still couldn't forget the look in Xinyanmei's eyes at that time. That was the first time he hated his powerlessness. He couldn't even avenge her. Spiritual Gate City was not a very big city. It was Yishuin's second time setting foot in it. The sound of hawking filled his ears, and there were crowds of people everywhere. As far as the eye could see, almost everyone was a warrior. Except for those underage children, the weakest was also a legend. The slightly stronger ones were in the sage realm, or even the great sage. When the legend warriors walked on the road, they were particularly careful and submissive. Obviously, they had no status. It was no different from when Yishuin came for the first time. Perhaps, at that time, Yishuin would still be very surprised by the strength of the warriors in Spiritual Gate City. But now, he had long been used to it. 3 days. It only took me 3 days to rush from the flourished Cloud Sea region to Spiritual Gate City. After my strength improved, the distance that was originally like a natural moat is no longer important, said Yishuin. And now, the top priority is to find that North Mountain Ling, said Yemo. Yishuin's spiritual senses instantly began to sweep through the entire city. The massive spiritual senses were immediately noticed by many experts in the city. However, for this place where the strongest was only the transcendent realm Fourth Horizon City Lord, such a massive law manifestation realm's spiritual senses shrouded the city, and they immediately felt a sense of fear. Senior, may I know how our spiritual gate city has offended you? Senior, if you have any requests, please tell us. We will try our best to satisfy Senior's requests. At this moment, the transcendent realm experts in the city spoke one after another. They lowered their stance, but there was nothing they could do. After all, the person in front of them was someone who could control their life and death. Although they didn't know how terrifying Yishuan was, they could feel an unparalleled power from his spiritual senses. In the ancient Baron's continent, it was the law of the jungle. If they weren't strong enough, they could only lower their stance when facing a true expert. They could only hope that they wouldn't anger this terrifying expert. Otherwise, the entire city might be destroyed because of it. Such incidents were happening all the time in the ancient Baron's continent. A small city like theirs could only survive at the border of the ancient Baron's continent. Without the protection of any major forces, any experts could kill them as they wished. There was nothing they could do. However, Yishuan wasn't interested in talking to them at all. He just scanned the entire city with his spiritual senses. In the entire city, countless people fell into Yishuan's eyes. Among them, there were not only humans, but also some other races. They should be the 100 Clan Alliance standing on the west side of the human domain. These people's races were not the same. Yishuan felt a sense of familiarity from these people. Bereaved clan? He did feel the same aura from them as the native clan. Could the so-called 100 Clan Alliance be the native clan? Yishuan was a little suspicious. The true martial domain and the ancient Baron's continent had been cut off for too long. Many things had been annihilated in the dust of history. There was no way to investigate many things now. At this time, Yishuan remembered Li Feng and Xiaoya who came to the ancient Baron's continent before him. Thinking of the little girl who never grew up, a smile flashed across Yishuan's mouth. He wondered how she was doing now. There was also Li Feng. He was an ambitious character. He once organized the Southern Dipper and tried his best to revive the native clan. If it weren't for Xiaoya, it would be impossible for him to let go of those things. Li Feng's strength was far above Yishuan's back then. It was far from being as simple as Transcendent Realm First Level. Now that he came to the ancient Baron's continent without any realm suppression, his cultivation must have improved to an extremely high realm after such a long time. But soon Yishuan found the North Mountain Clan clansmen among these 100 clans. They had the same bloodline as the North Mountain Ling, so Yishuan would not mistake them. Yishuan spread out his big hand and suddenly grabbed down from the air. The North Mountain Clan clansmen hidden in the crowd were immediately grabbed by the big hand. They were still very stunned. They didn't know what was going on. The peerlessly terrifying figure in the sky was actually coming for them? Thinking of this, they suddenly shuddered, but they still cursed crazily. The other experts in Spiritual Gate City breathed a sigh of relief when they saw this scene. It turned out that it was not coming for them. Since it was not coming for them, it was easy to handle. Damn it, you lowly human! Don't you know that we are from the North Mountain Clan? You actually want to attack us! A North Mountain Clan expert clamored. Boom! The North Mountain Clan expert was crushed by Yishuan on the spot. Yishuan's expression was indifferent, and his ruthless appearance frightened the experts in Spiritual Gate City who were paying attention to this matter. Everyone was stunned. This was a demon. Although this place was still considered to be within the human territory, it was actually already considered to be on the edge. It was also within the sphere of influence of the 100 Clan Alliance. The North Mountain Clan was one of the royal clans in the 100 Clan Alliance. They were extremely powerful. Most people would endure as much as they could and try not to provoke these North Mountain Clan experts. But this guy in front of them, did he have any deep hatred with the North Mountain Clan? The North Mountain Clan expert only cursed once, and he was crushed. If he said a few more words, what would happen? Who the hell is this person? Many people began to speculate in their hearts. You're tuning into the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.